You're listening to Horror Movies and Shit with your host, Pedantic Jim and Pretentious Mark.
Well, that's not going to work. I'm going to hit live first. Enough.
You're listening to Horror Movies and Shit with your host, Pedantic Jim and Pretentious Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, Jim Long. Been a long time since we talked.
Mm-hmm.
Very long.
Yes, since Sunday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very long.
Yes, very long.
My legs.
It's been a very long time
today.
So, Mark, we have a special guest with us today, right?
We do.
And who is it?
Olympic gymnast.
No way. Dude, dude.
Erica Summers, actor, writer, grip. Jim, do you want to tell the audience what a grip does on?
I have no idea. That was going to be one of my interview questions, but thank you for ruining it.
Well,
she's also a prolific author, Mark.
I said writer, Jim.
No, you said. Well, yes, you did. You did, but I'm talking specifically about her books and not her foray into mixed media.
Do you understand what the word writing means, Jim?
I do. Yes.
So
I'm a screenwriter and an author.
Exactly. Thank you.
If that clarifies anything, yeah, there you go.
So Jim, just to let you know, writing is getting like maybe a pen and putting words down.
Mark, nobody uses a pen and paper anymore.
Yeah, keyboard.
It's electronic now.
There's many different ways to write,
Mark,
Jim.
Welcome to the 1990s. We have typewriters now.
Right.
Word processing.
Jim, before we get into it, I was told by somebody that you're pretty smart.
Who told you that?
So I've got a couple of real quick questions for me, and the quicker you answer, the smarter you are. Okay, ready?
Yes, no, not a chance in hell.
Okay. What does SHOP spell?
Shop.
What does PROP spell?
Prop.
What does CROP spell?
Crop.
What does DROP spell?
Drop.
What do you do at a green light?
Go.
He knew I was setting him up.
I did.
It depends.
That's why he paused.
If you're in Connecticut, Connecticut and it's a green light, you want to be real slow at going because people love to run them red lights here.
Okay, so I have to tell you a story about when I first moved up to Connecticut and I was driving age, right?
Okay.
I was coming down a hill in Waterbury and I thought these cars were parked. It turns out they were waiting in line for a light. I went down the whole hill right in front of everybody.
That's what I would do. I'm a terrible driver.
We'll get into your stories later as far as growing up.
We could, but this wasn't growing up. I was already an adult.
Well, things have happened to you as an adult too to form Jim.
They have. So anyway, Mark, I want to talk about, excuse me while I get comfortable. I want to talk about Erica's books first. Are you okay with that?
Does that involve writing, Jim?
Authoring, actually, is the verb you use.
Authoring.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to be authorized to author?
Yes, pretty much. So, Mark, how many of her books have you read?
All of them?
Oh, can you name me one?
The machine one.
No.
The
machine.
The guy with the VR headset.
Oh, no. That's a short story, but good on you.
I'm an expert.
Okay.
Oh yeah, a total expert. So I'm going to start off with my favorite book because Erica already knows what that is. She's already seen my video about it, so she knows I love it. So my favorite book by you is Writhe because it was so fucking gross and I loved every minute of it. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I don't know how. I have to ask, how do you come up with that shit?
So that one's different than all the other ones because that one I co-wrote with my little sister. So she is H.M. Wool. It's Heather Wool is her name. And so we had a blast writing it together. We've co-written since, and we're gonna do it a lot more. She's the first person that I ever co-wrote with, and I was like, wow, this was a lot of fun. I thought it was gonna be like pulling teeth because I'm like very much like a leader. Things go my way. I'm like a tyrant. I'm very tyrannical when I'm trying to work with people. They work under me. They don't work with me. This was a complete 50-50. In fact, she wrote a good portion of it while I was like dicking around on another project and stuff like that, and then I came and was like catching up. But we came up with the idea. I wanted to write something like splatterpunk, for sure, like something very gory, something extreme, because that's what a lot of people have really been enjoying of mine. Because I've done a lot of different genres of body horror and all kinds of stuff, slow burns, snappy, fast paced stuff, and like that seems to be what everyone keeps really enjoying. So, and I want people to enjoy themselves when they're reading. So I will give people what they want for sure. So I wanted to do something like that. And then I wanted something that we could co-write separately where we don't have to like, send it back and forth to each other. It's like, you can do all this stuff and I can do this, because our schedules are a little different. And we both had like a big fear of, our parents freaked us out when we were kids about earwigs. And like saying they would crawl into your ears when you're asleep. So that's like always been a thing for both of us, is like, it's on I have a list that says shit that scares me. Yeah. And that's usually what I try to like work into my stories and stuff. And like earwigs was one of them. And then I was like, worms could be cool. Like I love the movie Squirm and stuff. She's like, I saw this video for this fucking worm that gave me nightmares. And she sent it to me, and it gave me nightmares. And it's a real thing. It's a bloodworm, and it has these like 4 fangs. It basically looks like a tiny graboid, and where it like comes out of itself like an uncircumcised dick with like fangs, and will like shoot out and grab stuff. And it's like the fangs are made of copper, and like it is nightmarish. And I was like, how about if you stuck something like that in someone's ear? What would She was like, that's fucking horrific. And I was like, what if it laid eggs?
Right.
So we know about, like spiders and stuff getting into people's ears, but like I really remember Star Trek, right? The Wrath of Khan, and that was the first thing that
people have a thing about their ears, and rightfully so. It's hard to get stuff out of there once you get stuff stuck. So this thing, obviously it like can latch on and doesn't want to give up. And, worms have this amazing ability to like recreate the rest of their body sometimes. So we just ran with it, and we can kind of announce this now. We are actually in the process of outlining a sequel to it that's going to be bigger and much more horrific. There will be blood. There will be lots of blood and more worms, and it's very exciting. So she wrote all of the detective stuff. We wanted her to kind of have some comedy to counteract a lot of the heaviness of the stuff that I was writing. So she took off with that and had a blast with it, and I wrote all the serial killer stuff, and I feel like it just worked really well together. She edited it, and I edited it, and then we send it to editors and stuff. But it's got a little bit of both of us.
Well, that answers my next question, which was, who wrote the boyfriend scene?
I did, yeah. And then our editor was like, "You need Jesus." As soon as he read it.
So I have a question. Even though, Erica, I am an expert in all of your writings, but maybe the audience doesn't know. But do you have like a tone you try to go for, especially with extreme horror? Is it like kind of fun, or is it serious?
So I'll say this. I set out to do one thing, and I end up always doing another. And that's, I set out to make something like real scary and serious, and it always ends up being darkly funny, usually on top of that. Like, there's a few of I have a few stories like Tulip Garden and Derailed and stuff like that are a little less, well, I guess Derailed's got a lot of humor too, but there are a few of my things that have like a serious tone, some short stories and stuff like that. But for the most part, everything that I do, as soon as I let the characters start talking to each other, there's always like some humor that gets mixed in, whether it's like situational or whether it's like the dialogue back and forth to each other. And like I feel like that's just really who I am. Like I have a novel called Mantis, and I feel like that is one of the best like representations of like me as a human being, because it's just funny and snarky, and there's blood and there's action. Like there's a lot of, you know, action, and then it's just your belly laughing like all the way throughout and stuff like that. And like I feel like I didn't set out to make a comedy with that one. I set out to make an apocalyptic adventure story, and it just turned out like I just let the characters go, and I'm like, this is freaking funny. Like I'm just gonna let it be what it is, you know.
Mantis pretty much hates everybody, and I feel that in my soul.
She's salty. She's just salty and cynical, and she does not give a damn is busted, and I love that about her. Like she's a little bit of me. You know, there's a little bit of me in a lot of the different characters, but I would say she is the most like me in real life, where it's just like, don't mess with her because she doesn't care. She doesn't care what you think of her, and that makes her dangerous in her own right.
Yeah, I tend to find, sorry, Jim, like extreme horror movies, there's like three categories. There's like the Peter Jackson, Dead Alive, over-the-top comedy splatter. You've got like dark humor, like Human Centipede. And then you have like real serious, like, it's not funny at all, Cannibal Holocaust, or, you know, things like that. And they tend to fit in those genres.
Those little, I'm somewhere between Dead Alive and what was the second one that you mentioned?
Human Centipede.
Yeah, definitely situationally, like I go for a Human Centipede, but I sometimes end up with a Dead Alive sort of thing. But I also really love that kind of stuff.
You're almost like an Evil Dead then, like the original Evil Dead.
Actually, a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said that I kind of, my work kind of gives them that vibe where it's like, you don't want to take it too seriously, but at the same time, it is still freaking scary. So I love that. I think it's entertaining.
And I know a lot of people kind of want to put some comedy in it to balance out, like extreme horror. And then some people don't. No, like a lot of kind of the German stuff, like Necromantic, you know, a lot of that sort of stuff is just super serious.
Yeah. And like, it's hard for me to do. I'm Jewish, and I've had like relatives involved in the Holocaust and stuff. So it's like, there's certain stuff that I'm like, there are real horrors. Like, I'm not trying to like mimic real horrors in the world. I'm trying to give people a vacation for their brain and like have, I just want them to read what I write and just have had a really good time. It doesn't have to change their life. It doesn't have to like really like mean something to who they are as a person. It should just be like, that's gonna live rent free in my head for a while because thanks, now I hate worms, you know. Or I think so much stuff. I mean, I lived a very, you know, hard life. A lot of serious sucky things have happened to me, and I don't want to sit there and get bogged down in like too much of that, because there's a whole lot of the rest of life to like explore, and like you know, I
mean, you know, it sounds like you've had a lot of difficult experiences, but you know, count your blessings because you're not on a podcast every week with Jim. So
that is
true. There is that.
That is true.
That is there. There is that. So, Mark, what did you think of Writhe? I
thought it was excellent.
Did you?
Yes.
He's full of shit because he hasn't read that yet.
So you know what's funny? I've kind of set like a mid-year resolution for myself that I'm actually going to try and actually read some books.
Okay.
I used to do audiobooks a lot, but I don't even do that anymore. So I bought myself like a new Kindle Scribe. So
I will say the audiobook for Vanity Kills is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And actually,
Bride too. The one that did Bride, he did a fantastic. Actually, all of them are on audiobook now. So
I was going to say, I don't think even Bad God's Tower, which I don't normally like westerns, was really good.
Thank you.
You do have some really great narrators, for sure.
Thank you. That that one actually, that's the first one that we ever did, and he's actually he plays Dr. Walsh in my film version of Obsidian, which is what Vanity Kills is based off of. So I worked with him on basically the movie version of Vanity Kills, and then years later, after the pandemic, I was like, hey, would you like to narrate Bad God's Tower? And he was like, I would love to give it a try. And he's got a podcast too. It's called What's the Score, about movie scores. So
and yeah, we've had narrators on before, right, Jim? And I really think a narrator can absolutely make an okay book great or make a great book terrible.
Yeah.
Just how they read it. So
absolutely.
It's hard. It's hard work too.
Mm-hmm.
I just narrated one. For
all the characters.
I just narrated my short story collection, the Rictus Grin.
Did you?
And just submitted it to Audible like 2 days ago, I think. So it should be live on the 25th. And I did all the stories for it, and then I also added sound effects and like eerie background music and stuff. So it's like a mood. It's a vibe when you're listening to it. So I'm very excited for that one to come out because I think people are really gonna buzz about it and like it, because the stories I really love the stories, and each one was written with like I was shooting for the moon. I was trying to get into a lot of different anthologies and stuff, and I was putting my heart and soul into it. So each story I was like, it's hard for me to like pick a favorite in that collection and stuff like that. So reading them all aloud again after 2 years after I'd written them, I was like, man, these are so good.
So Mark, Erica has a penchant for infusing odd situations into sex scenes. And
it's like a story of your life, Jim.
It's glorious, though. Like, I mean,
she had my life too.
Like in Mantis, there was a demon or a ghost, I don't remember which, that was interrupting two ladies having sex. In Writhe, there is a gentleman and his boyfriend having sex, but the gentleman is being very rough.
Not alive,
right? Because he's infected with worms, and his boyfriend passes away. But we have a job to do, right? That's what we're here for.
So and then Vanity Kills, there's a sex scene where a demon is involved. Oh God,
I forgot about that one. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
What happens in it?
There's a sex scene in Vanity Kills that is really fun because there's a demon that is involved. It's basically involved in the situation. So.
Almost.
Kind of.
Almost, yeah.
An unknowing threesome.
Right. That's right. I totally forgot about that one.
Jim, sorry, Jim, do you have any stories about maybe supernatural entities, having sex with like...
With me? No.
No. Just with like, have you seen a movie about that or anything, or no?
Well, yeah, I've seen a movie about that.
Man.
Well, what movie was that, Jim?
The Entity with Barbara Hershey.
Oh, I love that one so much.
Jim,
Erica, I have a question. How old were you when you first saw that movie, Erica?
Too young. I think I was probably 7, 8 years old. And that's literally, everybody talks about how scary ghosts are, and I'm like, as long as they don't rape me, I'm cool with them. And everyone's like, why would a ghost rape you? I'm like, you gotta see The Entity.
Yeah.
Erica, did you sit down with like maybe your mom and dad and watch it, or no?
Oh yeah. They were showing
you
me...
and Jim...
adult stuff way young. My first nightmare was at 3 years old, and I was screaming, Freddy is going to turn me into a puppet, because I had just seen part 3 Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was 3 years old. Like
Mark has been giving me shit for 2 years over being 8 or 9 years old and having seen The Entity.
Well, it was...
No, I literally was the same age.
I know. That's why I'm so excited right now.
It's like... What are the odds?
It's great, yeah.
With parents who don't care.
It's so funny. When I was gripping on a show one time, and I actually got to meet Barbara Hershey, and I was like, I just gotta say, I've loved you since I was a child, and I saw you in The Entity. She's like, you saw The Entity as a child? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, no, that's better than my experience with her. She doesn't, right? So I used to work at a dry cleaners in Southbury, right?
Okay.
And she came in. And
the whole time,
no kidding. The whole time I'm going, why the hell do I know this woman? Like, I've never seen her before in my life.
It's your
and then she gave me her last name, and I went, no, there's no fucking way, right? So she comes in a few weeks later to pick up her stuff, and I'm like, and the others had just come out, right? And it was super creepy. So I was like, I thought about you this weekend because I saw a movie that reminded me of something you did in the 80s. She never came back after I mentioned that movie.
Oh
no. Nope.
Jim, maybe it wasn't because of the movie.
Yeah, it could just be me. I was creepy.
You were creepy, Jim?
Yes, I was creepy. Yep.
Not right now.
Not right now.
She's very lovely, though.
She's a super nice lady in general.
Yeah, very, very sweet. But that was her first question was, you watched it with
super nice lady that Jim scared away.
That's right. You know what, though? She's so tiny.
She is
she's
little.
So little.
I know. I'm 5'8", and I felt like she came up to my armpit. I dwarfed her.
So, Mark, as for reference, she's about as big as Dee Wallace.
Yeah.
Now, as I'm 6'5", that's very small. Yes.
He's 5'7", by the way.
Are you? That's an Irish thing, though.
It must be. So, which one of your books was your favorite to write?
So that's a tougher question just because I want to say Writhe because I wrote it with my sister.
Right.
But as far as like ones that I've written, I would say novella-wise, Those Baby Blues, which is one of the 3 novellas in Price Slashers by Slashic Horror Press. It's the darkest, I think, one of the most violent things I've ever written. And I intended for it to be extreme because I misunderstood the call completely, and we all agreed to go as extreme as possible, and that's what I was going for. And I was like thinking of should I go like active shooter? I was just thinking of like the darkest things I could think of, and then Mick and Keisto handed theirs in because we weren't allowed to talk about them. We were like, here's the criteria, run with it, come back with your 20,000 words. And I came back and they were like, what is this? And then we pitched it to the company that we Slashic Horror, and they really, God bless him, David Jack, he writes me and he was like, I don't think we can publish this because of your story. He's like, I don't think I can be responsible for this. And I was like, look, I get it. My sister and I, we own our own press now, so we can just put it out and we can find somebody else to do another one, and I'll just change the name of the story and my story. He was like, well, let me think on it for a bit. And I told him why I wrote it, and it was because once again, my sister showed me a video of something, this lady who murdered her child due to postpartum psychosis. And I was like, I've heard of postpartum depression. I've never heard of this. Right. And I fell down a rabbit hole for like 3 days, like researching. I'm like, this is the darkest, creepiest stuff I have ever heard of in my life. And why does nobody know about this? Because this is happening to a lot of people, and women are out there basically suffering in silence because everybody just thinks like you have the baby blues, like you're hormonal and stuff, and like you can really be thinking like your baby is a demon and stuff like that, like because of this actual diagnosable thing. And so I wrote that. Then they decided because of my reasoning, they're like, well, if we put a thing in the back of the book explaining why you wrote it, I think we can get away with it. And it's been one of a lot of people's like favorite of the 3. Which excites me. I really love that one.
That really surprises me because David Jack is a friend of the show. I can't imagine him having trouble actually publishing something because he loves that stuff.
He wrote me, he's like, I love you, girl, and I love your work, and we've been dying to publish you for a while, but I don't think I can publish this. I can't. I think there's going to be backlash. And I was like, I get it.
Now I need to buy the book.
So
I wrote it with that.
Yep, sorry. Just wait till I reach out to him to publish my upcoming book, The Grotesque Death of Jim.
Oh.
I have a fetish for getting killed off in stories, Mark. You know this.
Do you?
I do. I love it.
Not this story, Jim.
And
you want
the more twisted and disgusting, the better.
So, Erica, I always ask.
Wait. Hang on. Erica, I'm getting killed off in 3 books this year.
Are you?
I am. I'm so excited. You have no idea.
That is awesome.
And one of them is his biography.
Yeah. So, James Cain is going to kill me off in Black Friday.
Okay, nice.
Carlos Rivera is going to kill me off in the end of the world or middle of the world or what? His White Harbor book 3.
Okay.
And then my buddy Tim King has written a story that I'm not supposed to talk about yet.
Okay, nice.
So,
well, now that I know,
I always ask this for our writers, Jim. Writers.
You don't know it? Do you know how to write, Mark?
So, it's left or right, Jim. I don't know. So, as you were talking about some of your favorite books, pick one of your books. Okay. And then cast it, the main characters, and who will you have direct it. Obviously, you'll do stunts and grip and a lot of that stuff, so that's all taken care of.
That one's easy for me because it actually started as a movie script. So just a little bit of background about me. I started long before I started writing books. I was a filmmaker. I've been a filmmaker since I was 16. All the way up until basically the pandemic. Right. And I'm not saying I've like given it up permanently, but I've definitely pivoted to writing now because movie making is very hard. Your work is not ever appreciated. It's far more expensive than writing a book. And really what people have loved about my movies is the actual story behind them. So writing just seems to be a better fit. But So I had just made a film called Mr. White that is on Amazon Prime now. And I'm thinking of doing a book version of it eventually just because not a lot of people have seen the film. So, I think it would cross-promote in the same way that Vanity Kills and Obsidian do. But it was supposed to be my follow-up to Mr. White. I was going to take all the money from Mr. White and then double it and put it on this. And I started writing the script for Mantis. And I got about a third of the way in and I was like, I will never be able to do this story justice because it's just so big. It's so broad. There's so many characters, so many demons, and there's some tricks that like the devil has to do that I'm like, I don't know quite how I know how I would make a skin suit, but I don't know how I would make them transform, and like all these logistical issues were going through my brain. And so I put it down for like a week and I was really bummed out. I was like, I had told all my friends, I'm writing you a character. Literally all the characters in that book are like based off of real people I know, and like not who they are as a person, but who I wanted them to play in my movie, where I was like, you're such a sweetheart. I want you to play a greasy pimp in my next one. And, you're such an asshole. You're going to be a sweetheart in this. I wanted to just see what these people were capable of. And I sat with it for like a week and I was like, I don't know how to come up with the budget for this. Nobody's donating to my Kickstarters. And eventually I came to the conclusion that what doesn't have a budget is a book. So I was like, you know what? I'll write it as a novel. And then if somebody with money wants to one day turn it into a movie, then I will be fully on board. Like anyone who's listening to this, if you want to turn it into a movie, I will work with you 100% of the way. And you will.
So you still need to answer my question though. So somebody picks it up, says, okay, I'm going to put $50 million into your book. Who's going to be the lead actors? Who's going to be the director?
Okay. So the lead female who plays Mantis, that's definitely going to be the woman who plays Shane on the L Word. I can't think of her name right now. She's also on Ray Donovan. She was Michelle, one of the people. I think it is. She got in the L Word. She's got real short, like choppy hair. She plays Shane. She's like she's beautiful. I think she's absolutely beautiful. Very skinny woman. So she would play Mantis. I really should have looked up her name. I didn't think I was going to be asked this question. Now I'm blanking on every star's name. I know
Kate
Dylan
Monaghan
would be. Yeah. I think that's her.
Yep, Shane McCutcheon.
Yeah, Shane. Yep, that's the one. So that would be Mantis. Dylan would be the skinny guy in This Is the End. I can't think of his name. He's in like a lot of the Seth Rogen movies. He's always like a real nerdy skinny guy.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's.
Well, we know it's not Jonah Hill.
No. He's one of the main, like the main guy. I think he is the main star of.
You're talking about James Franco or Jay Baruchel?
Baruchel, that's the one. Jay Baruchel. So he would be Dylan. Probably someone like Sydney Sweeney would be Sweet Tea, with just fully stacked. And
yeah, I was gonna say you'd have to really stack her out for that. Yeah, I love Sweet Tea.
Yeah, I love her too. I think her character is so much fun. And then for Black-Eyed Betty, that one's a tough one. No one's really coming to mind for her. I'll probably think of it at like 2 a.m.
I know.
Like, oh, I've got the
You wake up at 3 in the morning and go, what's it?
Yeah, I'll probably still be awake at 3 a.m., but I'll be like, oh my god, I should have said such and such. And same thing with Lucifer. I don't know who would play her, but it's got to be someone who has, some respect in the film world. You know what? I think I know who Lucifer would be. She, her name's Rebecca something. She is in Hung. She's one of the madams in Hung. She's in a show that I worked with her on a show called Claws.
I love Claws.
Yeah, so I worked on that for 4 years with Niecy Nash.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Is that about Santa?
Do what?
Is that about Santa?
No. Who was she on Claws?
She is a wealthy guy's wife. There's like a painting of them at one point. It's like a big character toward the end of like season 1. Rebecca, I'm trying to think of her name.
De Mornay.
No. Not she's big as Sweet Tea. She's right. Younger.
See Rebecca Kreskoff? Melba Lovestone?
I'll find her right now. It'll be easier to find her on Hung.
On Hung?
Kreskoff. Yep, Rebecca Kreskoff. She would be a perfect Lucy.
Okay.
I think she's definitely someone like I would picture for that. And then I don't know, Black-Eyed Betty, I guess, would be whoever the producers would want for some star power or something like that. I wouldn't really have two.
And what about the director?
Well, I'm biased because I want my boyfriend to direct movies one day, because he's directed a lot of shorts and stuff, and I think he's awesome. But if I had to go famous, I don't know. I've worked with Ty West before. I think he would be a lot of fun. I think he would have a good. I know I'm as disappointed with Maxine as you probably are, but
Ty West.
Here's the thing with Ty West for me. I think he can shoot a really great looking movie and do all the necessary stuff around it. I just don't like his stories.
Yeah. Well, it'd be my story.
Right.
It'd be my story, but with his
his eye.
And so I think he could pull it off. I feel like Maxine, while I'm not a huge fan of the movie, it still has like a good vibe for like that would translate well to Mantis. That kind of gritty, underworldy, skeevy character kind of thing. Or honestly, I don't know how well he would fit in something like this, but David Cronenberg is my favorite director. So
he could do Vanity Kills for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, he would. Oh, I want to just send him a copy of Vanity Kills, but I don't know how. Just be like, you have inspired my life.
Yeah. How about like a David Lynch?
I love David Lynch, to be honest. I would.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if it would make a lot of sense when David Lynch got done with it, but I love him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's very good at doing the glossy and then the seediness, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jordan Peele is fun too. I think he's got he's really good at the comedy versus horror, balancing those elements and stuff like that. So someone like that, someone that can do comedy, horror. Peter Jackson can do it.
John Carpenter.
Oh my God, I'd lose my mind if John Carpenter wanted to direct one of my movies.
Right.
Again, he'd be really good for Vanity Kills. Yeah. He'd have more of that spooky, slow burn with a crazy finale vibe like that. I feel like that would blend very well with his style.
And it does that. The vision that she gets in Vanity Kills was pretty awesome. I would love to see that. I would love to see that on film. That would be fun.
Right?
That would be a lot of fun.
Erica, Jim is a recent convert to extreme horror.
Oh, are you?
That's
really?
not. I am actually, yes.
True. That is true.
That is very true. I was very. Actually, Writhe was the most extreme book I had read to date when I first read it. Yep.
Oh 100%. Man, I feel extra honored then.
Because I don't know. I don't know how involved or if you are involved with TikTok at all. But
a little bit, yeah.
There's a couple book talkers, Veronica and Karen, that are like my splatterpunk filters.
Okay.
So they know what my triggers are, and I ask them for recommendations.
Okay.
So and I don't remember if it was I think it was Karen that recommended Writhe.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so that's why I read it, and then I pitched it to Veronica so that she could read it.
Yeah.
And then we have another book talker friend whose name is Boswell.
Okay.
And he's very tepid when it comes to horror.
Yeah.
But I told him he had to read Writhe. Like it's gross and it's vile, but it's probably one of my favorite queer-centric books.
Thank you so much.
So I was like, you have to read it because it's so hard to find good gay horror.
It
because
is.
most gay horror is all about the sex. It's not about the story. It's not about the characters. Yeah. It's all about the sex and how gross you can make it.
Yeah, whereas exactly.
Writhe was not like that at all. It was the whole fact that he was gay didn't come into play till like the last act of the book anyway.
Yeah, and that's how I wanted it because I feel like it's just more realistic that way. Mm-hmm. It's not always like pride flags and shit when you're gay. Sometimes it's just I have a boyfriend and people keep asking me if I'm gay and it's none of their fucking business. That's how it is in real life the majority of the time. It is not like, this crazy thing that's like, oh, by the way, he's gay and how does this play into every single thing that he does,
Although I will say my favorite scene in Writhe is when the kid gets yeeted. That was so satisfying. I hate that little fucking kid. Hamilton. Hamilton was his name. I hate that kid.
Hamilton. So funny story about that. That actually was not in the original draft. And so I sent my stuff to my sister and I was like, what do you think? She's like, where the fuck is the kid getting killed? And I'm like, I'm not gonna have a kid getting killed. And I was like, people are gonna freaking boycott this book over just that one thing and stop reading it just because, then we'll have to trigger warning it and be like, a child dies in this book. And she's like, he has it coming. And I'm like,
yes, he does.
The book, he really does have it coming. The book. He's really the reason that all of this and book 2 is happening. And he is not remorseful about it. He's a little prick, is what he is.
Yeah.
And so I wrote it in, and my sister was like, "It's perfect now. Let's do it."
Yeah.
That's what he says. That's one of they were like, "I was so glad. I've never been so glad to see a kid die in a book."
Yeah. The only thing that would have topped it would have been if the kid from the Babadook died.
Oh yeah.
I always appreciate a horror movie where a kid dies because there shouldn't be this sort of special shield around them or anything.
Yeah, they die in real life.
Animals.
Yeah, it's
The Mist is one of the best things ever.
Which one?
The Mist.
The Mist.
Oh yeah,
that was a gut punch for sure. That was
a double gut punch.
Hereditary was a good one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
so I'm terrible.
I was like, that was a dream.
I have a really wicked sense of humor, and I shared this post on Facebook. And it said cute couples costumes, and it had the post and the little girl.
I saw a meme the other day that was like the kids were like watching a movie on the little players on the back of the seats in the car, and they're like, "Mom, Dad, we don't want to watch Hereditary again." And they were like, "You can always just stick your head out of the window for some fresh air." And I was like, "Oh God, that's so bad." I feel bad laughing at that, but
no, I think it's great. I used to share this meme where this guy's sticking his hand in something, and it says, and he's going gross, and it says, when you touch something as dark as your soul.
I love that.
Yep.
I have a hard time though with like kids and stuff in my books because I don't like kids in general. Like I'm not a kid lover. I've never wanted one of my own or anything like that. And I have this reputation because like people are like, "You want to see my baby?" And I'm like, "No." Or the worst thing a woman could do is ask me to feel her baby bump. I will literally want to punch you in the face if you're trying to force me to stick my hand on your belly. I don't want none of that unborn. Like the movie The Unborn fried my brain as a child. Like, and I actually worked with the director of that movie, and I was like, I just want to say thank you because you are the reason I do not have children to this day. And he's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, thank you, dude. He's like, you're welcome. But like, so I have this reputation for like, because I don't have kids and because I don't like babies, that like apparently I want all kids dead, and that is not the case. Because once you're old enough to wipe your own ass, I love you. Like I'm all about you. Like I have my boyfriend's got 2 9-year-old twin niece and nephew, and like I am like God to them when I'm hanging out with them, and like I love those kids. I would literally take a bullet for either one of those kids because they're awesome. And so like I don't want people to think like because they read like those baby blues and they see when I'm doing the kids in that, and then they read Riot and they see when I'm doing the kids in that, and they start thinking like, oh, she wants to just murder all children, and it's like, no, I.
So here's my point to that, right? Because do people not know between fiction and reality, right?
No,
because you can show a movie. You can show a movie, right, where people are being eviscerated, like adults being eviscerated, and they're like, okay, that's fine. Oh, you kill a kid. Oh, you're a psycho. Like,
yeah,
they're all fictional characters. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So the first time I ever really experienced something like that, where I realized people don't separate it very easily, is so my third feature was a movie called Ragdoll, and it's not all the movies that I made are horror. It went horror, comedy, drama, horror. Because after the drama, I was like, I don't want to go back. I love horror. Like, let's just stop fighting who I am. But the drama was because we tried to push the comedy on the festival circuit, and nobody wanted anything to do with it. And I was like, I'm funny, damn it! Like, you better recognize how funny I am. And so I was like, I want to win an award. What do I do? And like, I was researching all the stuff that like won awards. I'm like, it's all stuff that makes you gasp. And I was like, what makes me gasp? I was like, child rape. And so this is not my finest hour. I'm gonna be very honest and transparent. So I wrote this script, this drama about a man who saves a child from being prostituted out by his dad to other adult men. He's like 5 years old and he can't speak and he's traumatized. And this guy who's like living with him, he's like a live-in groundskeeper and stuff like that. He ends up basically kidnapping this child and going on the lam. He's like, I don't know where we're going, but I know I can't leave him here to keep getting raped.
Right.
And then it goes very badly for him on the road, and it ends with a lot of casualties and we did not have a dry eye in the room when we premiered it. Like everybody was, and So we ended up raising a lot of money for a children's charity in Florida because halfway through the movie, I realized, like, I'm a villain in real life. And I was like, I am, like, profiting and trying to make entertainment out of this, like, really horrific thing. And here's how I knew, like, because I was like, it's just a fiction. It's just a script. Everybody knows it's just a movie. Mm-hmm. Every person from that movie started coming up to me one at a time, being like, thank you for speaking for us. Thank you for being a voice for us. We know that you had to have gone through this stuff too because of the way you wrote about it. I was like, I had a horrible childhood, and that's like the only thing that didn't happen to me was I was not raped or molested. That was literally everything else, like, that you can think of to do to a child was done to us, but, like, not that. And now I feel horrible because everyone else involved in this movie is like, oh yeah, that happened to me. And I'm like, wow, I'm fucking being a dick to all of you. And so I am halfway through the movie. I was like, I gotta rectify this. I gotta be able to sleep at night. So we agreed to donate a huge part of all the proceeds from the movie to this real children's charity for children of, like, rape and molestation. And then myself and a bunch of the people involved in the movie started volunteering there on the weekends and stuff, and, like, holiday parties. And we were, like, giving out gifts and, like, all kinds of stuff to help, like, these real kids that were going through this kind of stuff. So I felt a lot better afterward, but it was like this whole experience while we were making this movie. I was like, I feel like such a phony right now because I'm like, I thought this would just be fun. Like, I thought this was just going to be a fun movie to make.
I mean, Erica, as long as you weren't handing out copies of the movie to the kids.
No. And it was weird, too, because, like, we had the 5-year-old in the movie, and, like, the dad was like, you could just take him, bring him back tomorrow. And I'm like, we're making a movie literally about your child getting raped. Like, don't you want to be there? Yeah. He's like, fine. He's like, I lived through it. It'll be fine. I was just like, Jesus Christ, what is happening right now? Like, some of that stuff, I was just like, oh, why did I do this? But so then I flash forward to many, many years later. Now I'm writing books, and I'm having a lot of people. I'm not as much seeing it for my own work because I'm very careful about what I choose to write about for like strategic purposes. Like, there's a lot of stuff I would love to just be like freaking wild and be like, I'm just gonna write a story about this. But it's also like, is Amazon going to take it off? Is Amazon going to dungeon it? Is it going to be a huge waste of time? Or are people going to picket it on TikTok? Like, I want to write a line where it's like, ew, that was absolutely disgusting, and not like people are burning it on their barbecue pits. There's like a fine line.
Oh, I would love to write a book that people would burn.
Burn. I mean, if they're buying it first, that's fine.
That would be the chef's
You got to be careful with that because TikTok sort of blew up because an author was burning his own books and saying it was somebody else.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't
Unfortunately,
I mean the general public, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that I know what is a story. Like, when I'm writing, I'm like, this is ridiculous and this is a weird situation, and then like I'll see people being like, you're like talking to other authors that I know that I've read their books, and they're like, you're a freaking monster for writing about this. I bet you're writing about it because you want to do it or because you have done it. You wrote it too well. And I was just like, so there's certain topics that I'm like, I don't they exist, and like I could write about them, but like I'm not going to.
So have you?
Wait,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mark. Finish your question. So, we got some audience participation.
Have you read any book where you're like, wow, that's too far?
Not really, only because I know it's a book. I understand.
Mark feels the same way.
And like, there's nothing to me that like I've read and was like, oh, there's stuff where I'm like, this writer is just being like an edgelord right now, and like their heart's not in it. They're just trying to be gross. And that's fine. People still love, there's a subset of people out there that still absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But as far as me, like, there's stuff that makes my stomach churn, but it's honestly not even like the really gory stuff. Like, I think the last nightmare I ever had about a book was Brother by Anya Alborn. Like, that's not even a gory book at all, but it's like psychologically so creepy toward the end that I was just like, oh my god, like I finished it, went to sleep, and then had a nightmare about it. And like,
I've tried to read 4 of her books, and I've never been able to get into any of them.
So
that's the best one so far that I've read is Brother. Yeah, that's.
If I want to be horrified or disgusted, I'll watch the news, documentaries, or read up history.
Yeah, documentaries especially, man. There's some stuff that makes my jaw drop, and I'm like,
speaking of what we watched, I just watched one.
Have you seen Dear Zachary?
No, I have not.
Oh, you should watch that.
I hear that's a rough one.
I'm writing it down.
Ooh.
Okay, so we have some audience questions. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So the first one comes. That is not an audience question.
It was, Jim. Have you seen?
It was not, Mark. That was a you question.
Yeah, well, I'm part of the
audience. You're not the audience.
I have.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it until it comes on streaming because I'm sick of the hype, and I'm just going to be let down by it, no matter whether it's good or not. At this moment, if I was to watch it, I would just be disappointed no matter what.
Jim, I don't know what movie you're talking about.
What are you talking about, Mark?
I don't know.
So, our buddy Freak wants to know what actually frightens you in real life besides horseshoe crabs, because we already had that conversation.
What's wrong with
horseshoe crabs? So I'll scream like a little bitch at horseshoe crabs when they crawl up me when I'm fishing in the Long Island Sound. They climb me like a ladder, and you've never heard a scream so loud in your life. Like, I act like they're murdering me every time.
They are maybe the perfect animal.
Yeah.
Right? Because they haven't evolved in millions and millions of years.
I know.
Because they don't need to, because they're perfect.
It's mostly just because, like, I can't see them when they're doing it, and also, like, I have no problem with a horseshoe. If it's crawling near me, that's fine. I don't have the urge to kick it or anything. Like, I'm fine with it. It's cool. It's when it's on me. It's when it's crawling up me. The only animal that I think I really have the urge to, like, have violence toward are New York pigeons. Something about them, the way they're like, they don't move for me and they have no fear for me. I'm like, it makes me feel like apex predator, like, I will make you afraid of me.
I mean, to be fair, they've just adapted to their area.
Yeah. They're just super bald. They act like actual New Yorkers, and there's something about them where I'm like, I've never intentionally hurt an animal in my life, but I really want to kick a New York pigeon so bad sometimes.
They're just rats with wings, so you're okay to kick them.
See, I think that's an insult to rats, because I love rats.
Although really, birds aren't real, Jim, correct?
Correct. Birds are not real.
Right.
He rolled his eyes.
They're all drones, government drones.
Yeah, government drones.
Is that it?
Reagan had all the birds killed.
So you already sort of answered this one with Ride, saying, you know, that the worm freaked you out and that you did put it into a book. So your inspiration, would you say that your inspiration for some of your subject matter is based on your own fears?
Oh, it's almost always based on my own fears. So, like, I keep a list in my office here. It's a list that literally says shit that scares me, and it's a list of just everything rational or irrational. Like, for example, just a random one. I haven't written a book about this, but someday will. I have an irrational fear of getting pregnant and it being a demon pregnancy, like the unborn or something like that. Like, that is literally
born.
Yeah,
it's what.
That's how I was born.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
Yeah.
So, like Rosemary's Baby, something like that, right?
Yeah, I have horrible fear. So it can be something irrational like that. That's like, what are the chances of that happening? Or I also have a fear of mayflies because I got attacked by a swarm of them while on a kayak, and I didn't know they don't have mouths, and I thought they were all killing me. And I was kayaking with a friend of mine. The swarm blacked out the sky. I mean, we're talking millions in like seconds came up and attacked me. They were in my mouth. They were in my hair. They look like these giant grasshopper locust things.
Yeah. And
they're wicked looking. They're absolutely wicked looking. So I'm pulling them out of my mouth and I'm like, I don't even know where I'm paddling to because I can't see the sky to like right myself. And I'm thinking they're all biting me, but you know, after they all like committed suicide, I realized they didn't bite me at all, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I went,
whoa! Can we rewind this a little bit? You just said when they all committed suicide.
Oh yeah, they literally all kamikazes. I didn't kill any of them. They were like, they were like dive bombing the water, and like they got hung up in the trees and just like stopped moving and stuff.
It's like
they were trying to go into the water to unalive themselves, and she was just in the way.
Jim,
I was there.
Sorry, Jim, what did you just say?
I said they were trying to unalive themselves.
You fucking piece of shit. Kill themselves. Suicide.
Yeah, I'm so used to being on TikTok, and you can't say that.
I'm on TikTok too. I'll say it every day.
You have 3 followers, Mark.
Well, Tim, why was the reason I joined?
So, Erica, just so you're aware, the only reason that Mark made a TikTok was to send me a message on TikTok asking if I had seen Longlegs yet.
I love
and then wait, hang on. And then he says, "Don't worry, I'll never post anything." He's got 6 videos up already.
That's how it starts. That's how it started with me too. I think I got a TikTok so I could send my sister a video or something, and was like, "Oh, I can just unfiltered post stuff here."
Right.
And then started, you know. Like,
okay.
So people just want to see me talking. Okay,
right.
I guess that's cool.
Talking.
Yeah, TikToking. Yes, exactly. But yeah, so as far as like the fears, every one of my like books has like some of my real fears infused. So I can go through the list, like Bad God's Tower, claustrophobia. I'm I'm worried. I've always had a fear that I would get stuck in a tunnel crawling and that I can't move my arms. So that's in there. Revelations, the revelation in the Bible, that freaks me the hell out. That's what Mantis is about. Writhe is on, obviously, you know, worms and earwigs. Vanity Kills, that one's unique because that one's got multiple fears of mine in there. I had cancer when I was 19. I had 72 tumors from my ear to my groin. And they literally told me when I was 20 years old, go home, pick out a picture and an outfit that you want at your funeral.
Oh my God.
Get ready. And they were like, you're not making it to 21. And I was like, they were like, you are going to die and you are going to die soon. And so it was very surreal. Like, I even remember, like, at one point, one of the weirdest moments of my life was walking into my own bedroom, and my brother was mourning on, like, hugging my mom, and they were both, like, in mourning, talking about what's going to happen when I die. And I was just like, let me just close this door because I'm interrupting y'all talking about my death, you know, like, so it's a very surreal feeling. So Vanity Kills is very much, what do you do when the monster that is trying to kill you is inside of you? And that's literally what I was going through for a couple of years when I was going through chemo. Was like, my body is trying to kill me and I can't fight it. Like, I don't know how to fight this. So there's a weird amount of fear that comes with that sort of, you know, not having the ability to fight your own demons because, wow, ow. You know, it's I can't get a butcher's knife big enough to, like, stop those without stopping myself. And then you know, there's also a lot of other minor fears that I have. Like, I had friends with eating disorders and things like that. I have a lot of friends who deal with body dysmorphia, and watching those things, I don't have those things, but it's very horrific to see. Sometimes it's like, I've never been a 10, but I, like, love my body because it's alive and it doesn't have cancer anymore. So, like, what more can I really ask for? And, like, a lot of other people are like, they're 10s, but they're like, but I want to be a 15. And you're like, that's not realistic. Like, and watching that and not being able to do anything about it, that's also, like, a weirdly horrific thing. The Rictus Grin, my short story collection, this one has all kinds of my fears. Like, one of my biggest fears, and I've said this on other podcasts before, I don't know if she's gonna see this, but one of my biggest fears is my mother. Like, my mother is like the boogeyman of my life. Like, she has we haven't talked in probably 15 years now, and like, wow, she still haunts my nightmares. And you can see that in a lot of my writing, where it's the thing that is supposed to be protecting you, that's supposed to be, like when you're playing tag when you're a kid and you're like, oh, I'm on home base, your mother is supposed to be your home base. Like, that's where nothing can touch me, I'm safe. And like, when my mother was the thing trying to tag me, and there was no home base, there was nothing safe. So you're living in almost like a constant state of fear with someone who's that mentally ill, where you're like, I don't know, I'm going to walk in my home today after school, which was hard enough, and all hell is going to break loose in a new, fresh hell kind of a way every single day. So it was always this grab bag of terror. So that comes through a lot in my writing. Like, you'll definitely see themes of these, like, mothers that should be protecting and are not, or are the villains, or are the catalyst. Like, there's a story called Tynes in there where the mother isn't the villain, but she is the catalyst that like starts this all going. And there's another story called Derailed where she is, the villain. And like, there's a lot of me in my story, especially in like my short stories and stuff like that. You see themes of like what scares the hell out of me along the way. And I think there's something very real about that, and something that when people read it, they know I'm not just here for a quick cash grab where I'm like, let me see what the internet says is the freakiest thing right now, or what's the newest fad, or everybody's doing dinosaur horror, let's do a dinosaur horror. That's all fun and good and stuff like that, but like, I want to write about what I find genuinely scary, because otherwise, why waste my time with it? Like,
I mean, you could go the Chuck Tingle route and do Triceratops and Bottoms.
So, Erica, I have
read some Chuck Tingle.
I have a recommendation.
Absolutely.
And this is like a real life thing that happened. If you don't, if you're claustrophobic,
yeah.
She already said she was.
Have you heard about the Nutty Putty cave incident?
No. What is this?
Look it up. You'll thank me later. Nutty Putty. I know, it's a weird name. It's in Utah.
Nutty Putty cave incident. I can already tell just from the name that's going to give me a nightmare.
Not claustrophobic. Whenever I heard about it, I'm like, oh my god, this is like the worst thing ever.
Oh my god. God.
It's the worst thing ever.
I don't want to spoil too much. Have you both seen Maxine?
No. I don't plan on it. Neither one of us like Ty West, so you can spoil anything you want.
There's a scene with Kevin Bacon that I was like, there's a scene, I'll just say this, there's a scene with Kevin Bacon that it literally compounded my claustrophobic fear to a new level, where I was like, that is one of the most horrible ways I can think of to go.
Have you seen Buried with Ryan Reynolds?
Yes. Oh my god, terrified me. I hated it so much. Or Buried Alive with Tim Matheson. There's another one that freaked me out. Even that scene in The Crow when he's like trying to get out of the
Serpent in the Rainbow must have killed you then.
Which one?
That scene in Serpent in the Rainbow where he gets buried must have killed you.
Serpent in the Rainbow! Oh my god, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Very Edgar Allan Poe. So, Jim, you know my phobias, right? Because I've talked about them before.
Not so much. They don't bother me.
Heights.
Doesn't. I don't like heights.
No, so like a plane's fine or anything like that, but I can't get close to the edge of a drop.
Right. Same.
And being stuck in the middle of the ocean.
Oh,
so open water and fall are a bitch for you.
So those work for me because they work on my phobias.
Right.
Jim, what are some of your phobias?
Snakes and heights.
From snakes, who have heard about snakes. You must have more than that.
Snakes and heights. Those are my two biggest fears.
Oh, wow. See, heights aren't even. I had to get over my fear of heights.
Like, so if you read, yeah. I still haven't watched that movie because of the snakes
on the plane.
Right, but Anaconda, I love.
But that's a big snake, Jim.
Exactly. But I love that movie.
What would Freud say about your phobias?
I don't know, because it's really not the snake that bothers me. It's the way that they feel when they move.
Oh,
it's just like one big muscle contraction, and it makes it's skeevy.
So
it's so skeevy.
Like Jim, you know my wife, she hates snakes too.
I didn't know that.
The worst ones for her are sea snakes.
Why?
I don't know. I guess she just doesn't like the way they swim. Unlike the sidewinders.
Oh yeah.
I think snakes are cool.
Okay, so are we ready for the next question?
Sure.
What advice do you have for other authors, other indie authors?
Right, or writers.
Our buddy KL Alistair wants to know.
Okay, I would say advice for other writers. One of the biggest things I would say, if you're in horror, write about what scares you, because I honestly think that was where I've gone right with my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when I get compliments on my work, it's almost always the content and like the what I'm putting in there feels very real and feels very scary. Right. And that's because in my mind, as I'm writing it, I'm trying to put myself in that position. And there's also a strange little bit of catharsis where at the end of it, you almost feel like, yeah, I've conquered that fear a little bit. I've had, or a little bit of exposure therapy.
Right.
Like, for example, I have a story in the Rictus Grin called Derailed, and it starts out with a car accident. It was literally a car accident that I had during the pandemic where I got crushed upside down inside my car, almost died. I was being strangled with the seatbelt. I almost got T-boned by a semi at the same time. And like, this is literally like, it's from my point of view of everything that I went through in that accident, which is one of the most horrific things that I feel like I've ever experienced. And to try to put that all into words, like it was very hard to write that because I'm having to literally put myself back in that moment that almost made me never get behind a wheel again, where I was just like, this literally almost killed me. I have my Honda emblem that blew off my car and ended up like 200 yards away.
Wow.
And I kept that. It's like on my wall right now because I want to see that all the time to remember, like, you've lived through this and like you lived to tell a tale. So yeah, one thing that I would say is definitely write about what scares you. Put a little bit of yourself in it whenever possible. Like, it's obviously you can't put yourself in everything. Like, that would get really boring, especially if you're not like a super, I feel like I've lived 100 lives, so I feel like I could maybe do that, but most of the people I know are like, I wouldn't recommend that.
Right.
But just as long as you're putting some of your real genuine fears in there and exploring, like, what would make this worse for me having this fear? Like, how could this get worse for me if I was in that situation?
I will tell you.
And then another thing is,
sorry, go ahead.
Don't be afraid to explore other like subgenres. Like, if you're writing horror, you don't have to write just body horror. You can write other things, and like sometimes you'll discover what you like along the way or what you're terrible at. I realized after writing a story called Secondhand Kiss, I was like, I don't know how people write whole novels on cosmic horror. Like, I just don't. I wrote a short story and I was like literally grasping at straws for like every piece of horror that I could put in this, and I was like, this is like 3,000 words. I don't know how people do 100,000 words on this, or book after book after book of it. So it's good to experiment. It's good to step out of your box and challenge yourself.
I read his first book called Carnivores just based on the cover alone, because the cover's beautiful. And it was a lot of fun. Like, it was
it?
It was a little tame and he's like, have you gotten to chapter 11 yet? He messaged me. He's like, have you gotten chapter 11? I said, no, I'm just about to finish chapter 10. He's like, let me know when you get to chapter 11. And oh my God, did that book start going hard?
Really?
It was great.
I'll write that down.
Jim, I love the way that now you're like this extreme horror guy. Oh, it was too tame.
I do. That is so. Okay, I'll explain a little bit about my. I'll explain a little bit about my foray into extreme horror. Right, It started with Writhe, right? And then I was like, I really want to try and go harder. I want something more vile.
Right.
I tried a book by Jason Nickey and Stuart Bray called When the Mockingbird Sings. It was too much.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I couldn't get through the first 10 pages. So I put that down.
It's such a wild... It's one of the strangest books I've ever read because I don't know... Like, I like them both as individual authors, but I don't know if their styles mesh very well. And, like, there was, like, a midway point where I was like, you could definitely tell someone else is writing this now.
Right.
It felt very, like, disjointed, but...
And so I've read some Jason Nickey, and I like some of his stuff. I have not read any Stuart Bray yet. But anyway, so I went into a few more of the extreme books that Karen and Veronica recommended, and I'm like, I want to try something really bad, really terrible, right? So I picked up The Dark Side of Hell by Patrick C. Harrison III.
Okay, I love him.
So
that book is so fucking vile, so vile.
So, Jim, pick the worst scene from any of the extreme horror books that you find the most disturbing.
Sure. So, in the Dark Side of Hell, there's a scene where this family is being held captive, and they're sat down to have dinner. Right.
Okay.
There is this extremely large woman that is called down to dinner.
Okay.
She is then laid on the table, and they tell you that the men in the house have been having their way with her and then sewing her up. So that she is now full of liquid and candy corn.
I'm getting hungry now, Jim.
Yes. So she lays down. Right. So she lays down on the table, and they start to serve her like a lasagna. They cut open her
lady
nether
part?
regions. Yep, and they use a soup ladle to scoop out what is inside, and they use that for their sauce. And then they proceed to cut her up and serve her like a lasagna.
You know what? That sounds better than pineapple on pizza, Jim.
I agree.
I love pineapple on pizza. I'm just
Honestly,
saying.
it doesn't sound that bad, except the candy corn. Like
I'm sure
candy corn.
I am sure that I am not explaining this enough, but you have
to
give
me a good like manicotti and tomato sauce in there. I'd try it. I would try it. Little parm on top.
Right. There's also another scene where a woman gets fucked to death by a man's prosthetic penis.
Well, that happened in 7 too.
Yeah.
I had to skip the end of that scene. It got a little too much for me. So I skipped a total of 2 scenes in the book. There was that one, and there's a forced abortion. And I skipped that scene also. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but that forced abortion scene comes back later towards the end of the book. I did not skip when it comes back. That scene comes back.
Jim, do you know what's worse than a forced abortion?
What?
Women having to be forced to give birth if they don't want to.
Yeah, well, Mark, we're not getting political. We're talking about books. Different podcast, my friend.
Preach. Mark, the president.
Right?
I vote for you.
Our buddy Veronica wants to know if there's another author in the community that you have not collaborated with yet that you want to, and why. Because clearly she's a nosy bitch. That's what she says, not mine.
First of all, I love a good nosy bitch.
Right? I love Veronica. She's great.
So this is a little bit of a strange subject for me as of right now, because I did collaborate with 2 authors in February, and we put out an anthology with all 3 of us. And they have now been canceled. Both of them.
Oh, those guys, really?
Both of them. So I was friends with them for about 2 years before they were canceled, and had no clue what was going on. Like, they've never, ever.
I think we talked about this, right? You said you were putting that out as a novella or as just a story, right?
So Erica, sorry, what do you mean by canceled?
So I mean, they are like completely extradited from all all of the horror groups online. They have been
because of things
banned
done in real life.
Yes.
In real life, yes.
Correct.
So they basically, screenshots were released of one of them talking to the other one about sharing some fans' nudes in a Dropbox, and the other person was accepting said nudes, and they were being very misogynistic, in their discussions, and the guy who was sending the nudes, his daughter took his phone, was upset. I'm assuming was upset that he was cheating even virtually on her mother with these women who were sending nudes, and he was, doing a lot of stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing with these women on Facebook and stuff like that.
And that's a good segue. Jim, can you stop sending me your nudes, please?
You can send them to me, Jim.
Right. The funny thing is, one of my friends on
There's a microscope. Sorry, go ahead.
Right after that whole thing broke, she ripped up one of his books in her video.
Oh, did she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these screenshots were posted the same day that my dog of almost 16 years died.
Oh.
And people were like, "Oh my God, are you okay? What's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm not okay because she's dead." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "My dog is dead."
Right.
And they're like, "No, I'm talking about what happened with the authors that you just published with." And I was like, I could give two craps about that right now. Like, my life is falling apart because my dog just died. Yep. And she was my everything. Like, she was the furry little love of my life. Right. And I could give two craps what these people are screenshotting each other. I'll deal with that later.
Yep.
I read, and I was like disgusted, obviously, and like I feel bad for these women who, it's just a disgusting situation to be in, and like now I've been associated with them. So like, fortunately, they gave me the rights back to the stories we had just published, and I, through my own press with my sister, we released The Gory Hole and Necromatch LLC, which were the two stories. We each had two stories, all three of us. So there were 6 stories total.
That's right, because I just bought those on Kindle.
Yeah,
that's right. That's how we had that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, people were like, they kept writing me. They were like, "We're not buying this book. We're not giving them another cent of ours, but we like you and we support you and we want to read your stuff. How do we read your stuff without buying the book?" And I was like, "Let me find out." So they were, obviously, Steven was like, "Yeah, you can absolutely have your stories back. Like, I'm sorry, even being dragged into this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about this too, because I trusted you guys and like we were friends for years, and like, what the fuck, guys? Like, this is beyond embarrassing. It's like hurtful to people who have trusted you in the community."
Right.
So, no, I don't also want to be like on too much of a high horse, because I'm sure I've done plenty of things that if screenshotted would get me canceled as well. I'm guarantee you, because I'm
not even going to share Jim's nudes, so I understand. But
I'm sure I've got plenty of my own floating around out there. But like, that's the thing, is just like, so okay, so that prefacing with, I have just been burned by doing this.
Right.
If I were to hypothetically, I won't do it again for a while, but if I were to hypothetically co-write with someone other than my sister, who I trust implicitly because I saw her come out of my mom, like there's no reason I should not trust her by now.
You know where she's been.
Yeah, I've been there your whole life. Yeah. What?
Is that how it works?
Yeah, it is. I was in the room.
I'm on anyway, right now. I don't know these things.
So I think there are probably 3 that I can name that I would consider co-writing something with, and that's because I just respect them. I respect their work, and I hope one day I don't end up regretting saying this aloud, just because I was bragging on those other 2 authors for a long time because I loved their work as well, and now I'm like everywhere on the internet talking about how much I love them, and like now I look like an asshole.
You do not.
I will say,
you can't control what they do.
I honestly, if I'd have had any inkling, I never would have like signed up to write with them. Yeah. Obviously, because
you would never
need that kind of headache.
You would never take Jim either. I mean, if you knew.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
not where we're being recorded.
Right. I was a little stalkery though. That's how we met, because I was like, I saw her on Facebook.
I loved it.
You were friends with Tim, my buddy Tim King, and he mentioned that you were a filmmaker. So I started looking you up, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna send her my video. That's the way I'm gonna open this conversation.
I loved it. I sent it to my sister. We were so giddy about it all night long. I was like,
it was so much fun. Mark hasn't watched it yet because he just got on TikTok to ask me about long legs. But there's a whole video, Mark.
So Erica, we've had some extreme horror writers on before.
Like who?
Some of the prior guests. Veronica.
Like who? Veronica is not an author. She's a reader.
She's a reader writer. Anyway, some of these people you might on
now because they are putting out an anthology.
Jim Longlegs, shut up. So Erica, do you enjoy extreme horror movies?
Oh, absolutely.
Do not bring it up again, Mark.
So hang on. So wait. So Jim is just dipping his foot into extreme horror books. Okay. What are your recommendations for him to get into extreme horror movies?
Oh, Cannibal Holocaust. This is going to be one of my first ones.
Okay.
Dead Alive.
I love Dead Alive. That's a great movie.
So good. Let's see. We got to get some Cronenberg in there. What's a good one? What's a good Cronenberg?
So just to Jim, I don't know if you know this, but I met Ruggero Deodato and a couple of the.
Oh no, I never would have known that about you, Mark. Never. From the 2 plus years of podcasting,
never mentioned,
or your first TikTok video.
Yeah, true. It wasn't a video; it was a picture.
It was a video, Mark.
Is this a picture? Go ahead, Erica. Sorry for Jim interrupting you.
That's all right. You're giving me some time to think. So if you don't mind foreign films, there's a French film called Inside. That is.
Mark loves that movie.
Oh, so gross! It's super gross. I'm trying to think of a few others. I know this is gonna haunt me at 3 a.m. for sure. I'm gonna send you
I'm gonna get messages on Facebook.
Whole list.
Yeah.
This is the way the audience knows we're totally unscripted. I'm no questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I've been sent
me brain fart live. Yeah. Yeah. There's. I'm literally gonna get off here, and my boyfriend's gonna be like, "Why didn't you say this and this and this?" Because I have been turning him on to extreme horror. So he liked horror when we got together.
Yeah.
And he restores films for a company called Vinegar Syndrome.
They
put out. Yeah.
We're gonna have some friends.
I worked there.
We're gonna have them on in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Who?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to cut this part out. But
okay.
The PR guy reached out, and possibly the director and the 2 main actors from 8 Eyes.
And they're Vinegar Syndrome.
Yes, they are.
Awesome.
They were done. It was done by Vinegar Syndrome.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, that's exciting. Yeah,
we're gonna have to cut this out because it's not confirmed yet, so I don't want to put anything bad out in the air.
Yeah, but I don't.
I hope to God nobody's watching this live stream.
Don't worry, Jim. No one is.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're an amazing company. Like, they are literally some of the nicest people I've ever worked for in my life.
They really are, because I reached out about something else, and 8 Eyes blew up on TikTok. Yeah. So I was messaging the guy on Instagram. I was messaging Vinegar Syndrome on Instagram, and he's like, "Hey, I was like, so, when is 8 Eyes coming out?" I was just asking him all kinds of questions, and he's like, "Do you want to talk to them?" I'm like, "I would fucking love that."
That's amazing. Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, they do amazing work there, and so that's actually how my boyfriend and I started talking. We were on a film set down in Louisiana, and it's one of those late nights where we're working a 12 or 13-hour shift or whatever.
Right.
And he was wearing a Vinegar Syndrome hoodie, and I was like, "What's that?" And he starts telling me all the movies that they put out, and I was like, you're my new best friend. So we started talking, and we bonded immediately. And also, they do a lot of vintage porn, which is my kind of porn. Like, that's literally, before I even met him, people thought I was weird because they were like, you like 70s porn? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's anything that's on VHS, that's my jam. And they're like, what is wrong with you? And then I met him, and he was like, we put out like weird vintage porn, and I'm like, this is on VHS, and he's like, yeah, like, and he starts rattling off titles. I'm like, I got them all on VHS, man. And now it's like crazy.
The first time I recognized Vinegar Syndrome was they released a double disc version of Blue Sunshine. If you've seen
Blue Sunshine. Yep.
So I'm like, okay, these guys are good.
Yeah. They put out so many movies too that I love, and like I get a little bit of a heads up sometimes when they're like some of the higher ups will be like, "Here, we're putting out this movie," and I'm like, "What the?"
So Jim, why don't you tell the audience your top 5 extreme horror movies you've seen?
I don't know what qualifies as extreme though.
Well, like disturbing or I mean,
because
not PG.
So when we talked to Veronica, right, and we were talking about extreme movies, I had seen a lot of the ones that are quote unquote extreme, but I don't consider them extreme.
Well, I mean, you personally. So if you set up
like Real, the movie Real, REEL.
Okay.
Real.
That is about a man that is trying to catch his sister-in-law having an affair, and it goes super duper wrong for him. So it gets the last 20 minutes of that movie goes so hard. And Mark, we will be talking to the director of that movie next week.
Yes, I'll have to watch it.
It is on realstore.net is the only place you can watch it. If you want to watch it, Erica.
Okay. So some of the other ones, Jim.
High Tension I liked, which was part of the whole early 2000s extreme. I really liked Martyrs.
Yeah.
Of course.
What else? I'm trying to think what else I've seen that would be considered extreme.
I like Eden Lake a lot, but I don't know if that one counts as like an extreme horror because it's more psychological.
It is.
I get to work with her on a movie.
Gross.
It's more of a depressive.
Yeah.
It's depraved is what it is.
Yeah.
Coming from the UK.
That's
great.
Those kids. I got to work with her on a movie
with kids roaming around and gangs.
That was disgusting. I don't know. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, Mark. I don't.
New York Ripper, Jim?
I don't consider that extreme. I consider it garbage. That movie sucks.
New York Ripper is pretty extreme.
No, it's not. It's disgusting. It's stupid. Like, there's nothing redeemable in that movie. The foot rape, the quacking serial killer, none of it is redeemable.
Jim, listen to my words. I didn't say redeeming or anything else. I think it's one of the sleaziest movies ever made.
But sleazy doesn't equal extreme all the time.
Well, it kind of does.
No, it doesn't.
Name
High
some
Tension wasn't sleazy.
No. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so because something's sleazy and something's not sleazy doesn't mean that it's necessarily disturbing, right?
That's what I just said.
But what I'm saying is, if you take the top sleazy horror movies, they are disturbing.
But that's not the conversation we were having.
Erica?
Murder?
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Right? Like we weren't having the sleazy conversation. We were having the disturbing conversation.
So I'll throw some of the disturbing ones out there. Obviously, like a Serbian film.
I love Serbian film. Yeah.
Yep. Fantastic.
Salo.
Never seen it.
Salo, yeah. Atroz.
Yeah.
If you've seen that. Human Centipede 2.
I liked one better, to be honest. I really did.
I mean, they're totally different tonally.
Yeah.
And graphically, but Antichrist. The Lars von
that's a good one. Any Lars von Trier is fucked up, man. Everything of his makes me feel like I need 10 showers afterwards.
Oh,
Even stuff
like
that's
talk
not
about
horror.
Do you know what movie made me feel like I had to take a shower? Safe Neighborhood. Have you seen Safe Neighborhood, Mark?
No.
So okay, it's not it. Hold on. That was its UK title. Let me get the Better Watch Out was what
The,
it's
like,
released as
funny
in
games?
the US. It's about this kid
Oh
and
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
babysitter
Mhm.
that are getting
But
harassed, and that's as much as I can say because I don't want to ruin it. But
yeah,
like, I felt dirty after watching that movie.
that kid's performance was fantastic.
It was
I'll
fantastic.
say
It's a
that.
great film.
But if you want kind of like sleazy, gross stuff, like The Golden Glove, Eric,
Haven't
have you
seen
seen that?
Ooh, I think I have seen that one. I'm
It's
trying
a
to remember.
German
If it's the
movie?
same. Maybe not. Maybe.
Or something
not.
like the Untold Story, which is a Hong Kong movie with the incredible
That
Anthony
one I've seen.
Wong.
Yeah, my boyfriend actually restored that one for Vinegar Syndrome.
Oh, awesome!
So yeah, they
Like
put that one. They've been doing a lot of the Hong Kong horror ones.
yeah, that's my favorite Cat 3 movie. But he's
Yeah.
great in like the Ebola syndrome and like
Oh
anything
yeah,
Anthony
Ebola
Wong
syndrome is
in.
another extreme.
Yeah,
I
but they're
think.
sleazy too, right? I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
kind of sleaze to it. Jim,
What about The Loved Ones? Have you seen
Haven't
The
seen
Loved
that one.
Ones? It's an
The Loved
Australian
Ones?
film. Yeah.
I
About
know
a
of it, but
girl
I haven't
who,
watched
like,
it.
basically
no. Have you seen The
captures
Sadness?
a boy. No, I haven't seen it yet. I have it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
Good?
so I don't know if you read comics or are familiar with comic books, but Garth Ennis wrote a series of books called Crossed, which is kind of
Okay.
like The Walking Dead, but dialed up to 20. So the people are infected, but they still have their brains, and they love
Yeah.
inflicting pain, so they go around raping people and like doing the most
Ooh.
disgusting thing. And the sadness is almost like a live movie version of it. It's really, really good.
Oh, awesome.
And
yeah, I gotta check that. Everyone's been buzzing about that one.
Oh yeah,
So
it's great.
So Erica, our buddy Tim just posted a question on Facebook, but we just have to give him shit because it's an unoriginal question. It's like posted 3 times already by other people. So I just want to mention it because we have to give him shit.
Okay.
He wanted to know what the favorite book you've written is, but like 3 other people have asked it and we've already talked about it. So we're good.
Yeah, I said my favorite novella, but obviously I think my favorite novel would probably be Vanity Kills, just because there's so much going on with it,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
really
like
is.
really, it's got a lot of rich. It's definitely an onion that like peels back, and like I'm very proud of like how it all sort of clicks together. And like we put the film out, we put Obsidian out. It was a 7-year absolute freaking nightmare. Because I had signed on a producer who basically like was cutting me off at every step of the way. Everything I told him that I wanted before he signed on, he immediately was starting to steamroll me into taking out. I was like, I want this and I want this, and those were the things he was like ready to throw out at the first. And he hired another producer who tried to fire me for my own movie and was like, we can give her a story by credit and I can direct her movie because we can keep the money. And like, then the first producer sent that email to me and was like, this is what is happening behind your back. How should we proceed? And I'm like, fire him because I don't want to be fired. And at first I was like, you can't fire me for my own movie. I wrote this movie. I'm the reason you're here together. And then he was like, oh, where's your contract? And I like, you said I didn't need one because I made this film, like from the start, it's my film. And he was like, I don't think a judge is going to see that. And it was a very ugly thing where I was like, well, I don't want to do this with you anymore. And he was like, well, you're going to have to wait me out of my 7-year contract. So I did. And the day his contract was up, we were in production on my crappy little budget. We had lost like a lot of our locations. We had to like do a whole rewrite because the hospital that we were allowed to film in was no longer available. It was like a SWAT training center now. And so we ended up having to do change it all to work with an Airbnb. And like, it was a freaking nightmare. Like, somebody stole our monster costume halfway through shooting the movie. And like, we had Tom Proctor from like Guardians of the Galaxy. He was like putting up like reward money and stuff for people to return it, because we weren't sure if somebody stole it, and like nobody returned it. It's probably in the woods somewhere, like lost. And then it came out, and the pandemic hit. And so everyone was like, we spent all like thousands of dollars getting into all these festivals, and all the festivals were like, great, you're accepted. Oh, but our festival's canceled. So here's a paper award, and nobody got to see it. And like, we won a bunch of awards for it, and nobody saw it. And then we got a terrible distribution deal, and it went out, and like now it's on Amazon Prime, where anything that is under like $50 million automatically gets like 1-star reviews from like everybody. So I was like, this sucks because nobody saw it, and now everybody, if you go on like Letterboxd or IMDb, it's like got like 3 stars, like 2 or 3 stars, and it just looks terrible to people who are thinking of giving it a chance. And so I went back to the original script and was like, what do I like out of the new version, and what can I go back to the old script before they made me write 106 rewrites of my own script and change all the things that they wanted me to change. So it's definitely different than the movie in a lot of ways. Overall it's the same story, but there's a few extra characters that didn't exist. There's a few extra sequences and stuff that did not exist. And so to me, like, that book I basically had to fight for that book, because it is more of a pure vision of like what I wanted that story to be. So I would say, if I had to pick like a favorite, Mantis is obviously one of my favorites because it's my first, and I think it's very underrated. Not a lot of people gave it a shot when it first came out because I didn't know how to market it. And it's finally now starting to pick up a little bit of steam after all these years. But Vanity Kills, I would say, if I had to pick a favorite, I would say, if you're gonna if you never read any of my stuff and you want to start with something, that's what I would recommend. Because
it's funny because after I read Rive, my buddy Karen told me about Mantis, and she's like, "You really have to read it. You're gonna love it." She's like, "It's so funny. It's so great." Because she really appreciates the bi representation. And it really made a big difference for her, and she loved it.
Oh, I'm so glad, because I'm bisexual, and like a lot of people are like, "No, you just haven't made up your mind yet." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, my mother says that all the time.
I'll chase them both. Like, I literally like them both equally. Like, just because I'm with a guy, yeah.
You're just jealous, Mark. Shut up.
But like, I think everybody thinks, because like I was married to a man at one point, and I'm like, now I have bought a home with a real man. I think they think like I'm just was straight all along. It's like, I hate to break it to you, I will absolutely chase skirt, like, no problem. I love women, so I had to create a character like me that was like, she doesn't care what is between its legs, she wants it, so, and that is some of us. I mean, honestly, that is.
I mean, that's fair. I have been married to a woman once, and never again. But that's a whole different story.
I don't blame you. There's a reason why I'm living with a man. I'm not
well, there's a whole story. We'll talk offline about
Jim, okay. Jim, the Bible was good with you marrying a woman, but
I don't care.
It's like, I don't give a rat's ass.
I'm just saying, I don't care.
I thought this was a Christian podcast. What?
Bite me, Mark. So, Erica,
no thanks.
Let's talk about your extensive experience in film and TV.
Okay.
So you were a grip. What is a grip?
Yeah, so a grip, I asked the same question at first too. So I started as a PA, which is basically like a coffee runner, a gopher. I was making my own films. Like, I was head honcho, I was writer, director, producer, I was DP, I was everything, because I couldn't afford to hire anybody to do anything. So if I wanted the movies made, I had to do them. So I had made several movies of my own, And then I met this guy named Gustavo Cooper on the festival circuit, and our movies always competed. We would always see each other like different parts of the country and stuff like that. And Mr. White was competing with him, and then Obsidian was competing with him a little bit too later on. But we had seen, we had like become friends kind of, and so I moved to Louisiana from Florida, and he moved to LA. And in LA, he got a 3-picture deal and was like, they want to shoot all the movies out in Louisiana. So I can't afford to pay you, but if you'd like to come on as a volunteer PA, like I'll get you on a big movie set. And I was like, wow, I would love to learn how they do it on the big movies. And so I get on the movie set and I'm like learning all the different positions, and I befriend the Grips, which the Grips are the hard ass beer drinking, usually the ones with the good coke or weed.
The roadies of the movie industry.
They're hard, like they go hard. And so they're the ones who are, if you ever see someone carrying like a ladder around or like a lot of big heavy crap, that's usually us. So we work in tandem with the electrics. So when you hear G&E in the movies industry, that's grip and electric. So the G&E department, we work together, sometimes out of the same truck if it's a smaller show, or usually our trucks will be like side by side on a bigger show. So the electrics set up the lights, and the grips shape it, we color it, we soften it, and then we are also responsible for all on-set safety. So like cables not being in the way, things not falling, anything that needs to be strung up and, safetied. We're doing it. Anything that needs to be done on top of a roof, we're doing it. So like I had to get over my fear of heights real effing fast, because
I don't know if I could do that.
I knew these guys, like talking to these guys, like this is where I want to be on a film set, is like the funny guys. Like you guys are funny badasses. And they thought I was joking at first, because there's no women grips in Louisiana. There might be now, I don't know, but at the time there were none. There had been one, and then she moved, and that was the one. And so when I was there, they're like, you don't want to do this, like it's very hard work, it's backbreaking, and like you just don't want to do it. Like use your brain, do something you can use your brain at and stuff. And I was like, no, dude, like, and there was a guy on the team who was terrible at his job. We became friends later, but he was absolutely couldn't wrap a cable to save his life. And I told the head guy, I was like, I want Michael's job one day on set. And he goes, oh, Jesus, like you're just coming for him. I'm like, yeah, I will do a way better job than him. I guarantee you. So he gave me an audition. It was this movie that had like Casper Van Dien and stuff, which he's lovely. I fucking love that guy. I've worked on like 3 movies with him now, and he's the nicest guy.
That's awesome.
And so they gave me an audition. I aced the audition and then almost got the key grip murdered in a car accident after the audition. Like we got T-boned while I was taking the equipment back. I lost my car. He almost lost his life, and like this, because some lady was going like 60 in a 30, and at 2 a.m, and like came out from this ditch and just hit us. And so the last week of the show, I had to pay another PA to bring me, to live in my guest room and bring me back and forth to work, because my ex-husband was like away on business, and like I had no way to get to work. So I had lost my car. I had not been making any money on this movie, and now I'm out money for trying to let somebody live at my house just to drive me. And they were so impressed that I came back and finished the show that they were like, they fought to get me on the grip team for the last week of the show. Wow. And they loved me, and they kept hiring me. So then after that, I went to work on like the Scream TV show. I worked on a bunch of movies with John Schneider, the Dukes of Hazzard guy. He's so nice. I love that guy. He's my tipple buddy. So, and like they, I started getting on with all these guys where it was like, none of the crews ever wanted to hire me. They're like, why would I hire a girl? I could hire a guy and not worry if they're going to be able to carry the stuff. And they're like, dude, she works like 3 dudes. And so everybody kept vouching for me, and I kept working with all these different people. So I ended up on like all the top tier shows in Louisiana and like working my way to the top. And when Georgia, they opened up like their film incentive things, there was like a mass exodus of all of the Louisianans going to Georgia to get more jobs, and I rose to the top of the list like just by default too. So I started getting like all the calls and stuff like that. So I ended up working on a lot of really cool shows like Preacher, the one that's based off the comic book.
Love that show.
Claw, yeah, Preacher is awesome, and I was so proud to like be a part of that for I think 3 years.
Wow.
Claws, I was on for 4 seasons. Scream, a lot of other like smaller TV or a lot of stuff I would day play on, like I think American Scream Queens and stuff like that. I would do like a couple of days here and there, and then NCIS New Orleans I ended up getting on for a long time. I was still a day player, but it was like 3 days a week, so
Right.
it wasn't like a full time, but it was pretty much full time. And I worked on a lot of movies. I worked with the girl from Eden Lake on a movie called Eli, and like just did a ton of movies. Met a lot of There's only like one movie I think that I worked on in 12 years that I like regret doing, but I had just gotten a divorce and I was like, I need any money that you'll give to me. And it was like a Christian faith-based movie about wanting to put God back in schools.
Jim, that's your favorite movie.
It's called One Nation Under God, and it was
I've heard of it.
Time I was on,
love it.
The whole time I was on, I was like, this is literally
Jim, show your tattoo of that.
What tattoo of what? No, movie. I do not. He's full of shit. I do not.
So
I am proud though. I got asked to work on a Tommy Loren movie about abortion, and I was like, you can go to hell. I'd rather quit the industry than to work on some piece of crap like that.
So Mark, it's a small world,
you know. Standards.
It's actually quite a large world.
No, it's a very small world because Erica and I have a mutual acquaintance.
Do we?
From the film industry. We talked about him. The Steadicam operator.
I was going to say he's your probation officer, but
no, it's a friend of Ray's. It's her husband.
Yeah.
I don't know him that well. His name is Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson. He's I've only worked with him like I think in passing or like I'm not like super like friends with him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's just an acquaintance, somebody that we both know. So it's a small world.
Yeah.
So Jim, one of your greatest strengths is being humble. Very humble. Obviously,
very humble.
Obviously, you know what a grip is. You know what a key grip is. I mean, you know all of the different production roles.
Best boy.
Clearly, yeah.
So can you put away your humbleness for 1 second?
I'll do my best.
To let the audience know what a best boy does?
Yeah.
Come on, Jim. It's okay.
I mean, he clearly is better than the good boy, right? Like, what does the best boy do?
I good boy, know. Like a dog.
I know, right? How would I know that, Mark?
It's okay. Jim.
Do you want to tell us what a best boy does, Mark?
I could tell you.
So the best boy, I believe.
Well, but then I have to ask, does it have to be a best boy or can it be a best girl?
Best person.
Right.
Depends on who you ask. People, when I was the best boy, people try to call me the best girl. And I was like, no, you call me the best boy. Because the best boy, you can only be the best boy by being the best girl.
So what does the best boy do, Erica?
Mark, do you want to take this one or do you want me to do it?
No, I believe, aren't they kind of like supervisor or they kind of are over the grips? So they make sure that they all are doing what they're supposed to be doing? Is my
kind of. So it's a triangle sort of system. So or like hierarchy or whatever. So the electrics, they have a gaffer and a best boy. I think they call it a best boy. And then they have just electrics, or they call them juicers. And that's everyone who works under them. They're kind of interchangeable, but they're the ones who actually do the work. And then their version of the best boy, they do the loss and damage paperwork. They do all the hiring and firing. They do all the like hours, like the paperwork for like timesheets and stuff like that. Everybody start work, like they're a secretary in a way where it's like a secretary on steroids, where it's like they're managing schedules, they're managing the money, they're managing how many people they have the budget to hire for certain days, what equipment they need to pre-order like weeks in advance for certain days and stuff like that. And then in grips, it is a key grip who is the key grip and the gaffer. They answer only to the DP, and the DP, the only person they answer to is the producer. Like everybody else, the DP is like the god. So gaffer and key grip are on the same level, where they basically have a powwow with the DP. The DP tells them, this is what I wanted to kind of like, this is the vibe I'm trying to set. And then the juicers will go and set up lights, and then we'll start getting our coloration, our diffusions, and our shaping, like our negative fill and stuff like that into place. And so there's the key grip, who is the one who he's the one who gives out all the orders to all of everyone below him. Then there's the best boy, that he can jump in if needed, but he's mostly hiring, firing, paperwork, ordering things, and just making sure that it all goes together right. And then there's us that are just the grips. They call us hammers. And then there's a day player, which is just a hammer, but that doesn't work through the length of the show. So it's like some days they need more hammers because there's like a huge like scene for something, and so they'll bring on day players to come in and add to that.
So Mark,
that's
a great.
To
put it in corporate terms for you, right? That would be like middle management.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Yeah, like a VP. Yeah, you got like the CEO.
No, Jim, I understand.
Yes, I know. I knew you would understand that word.
But
that's why I brought it into that.
But on our next podcast, Jim, I'm going to ask you to describe the hierarchy of some of the production teams.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you take
because
notes?
Erica gave a really great explanation.
She did. But you also know my memory's terrible. So in 10 minutes, I'm going to forget what all this means. What?
What does a gaffer do?
What does a gaffer do? Lighting.
Yeah. Erica?
Yeah, he's the head of the lighting department.
Yeah.
So he is the one responsible for telling all of the juicers what to go out and do. Like he's the brains, and they're the brawn, basically.
Right.
Jim, would you rather be a hammer or a juicer?
I'd rather be a hammer.
Juicer's easier, but you can get electrocuted.
I did drink too much. I like have to pee too much if I juice.
I'll tell you, for a hammer, it's where all the good beer is.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's where you want to come. You want to get flirted with, you want to get good beer, or you want to get good weed. You come to our truck. Like that's what we're about.
I'm good with that. That's my kind of people.
They're the hardest workers, though, man. They're badasses.
Well, because you play hard, you work hard, right? You work hard, you play hard. You have to.
Yeah.
Mark wouldn't know anything about that. He's too corporate.
Oh yeah.
I just fell in.
I bet your hands are so soft, dude.
Yeah, right. He hasn't had a blister since he was 12.
You don't even know what a blister is.
Friggin' broke last time he was here.
You're just paying somebody to fix the damage.
No, I'm too for that, Jim. If figure it out, I'll do it.
I have been to Mark's house exactly once, and when I left, his roof caved in.
Coincidence? I think not. Plus, our evil-seeking dog sniffed Jim out real quick.
She hated me.
Oh yeah.
I've never had a dog hate me before. I was hurt. I was crying all the way home.
Yeah, I would be.
Well, try being good for a change, Jim.
My dogs love me. I don't know what's wrong with your dog.
I've never met a dog that didn't like me.
Exactly.
Cats, yeah.
His other dog liked me enough. Like, I could pet it. I can't remember. It's Luna, and what was the other one?
Rhea.
Rhea liked me. Luna didn't like me.
Wow. Rhea is one of those. If Rhea was a human, she'd be like a Rastafarian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just
My
chill
kind of
with everyone. Just.
Yeah.
So, Erica, we've come to the point in the podcast where we generally just talk about shit we've watched, regardless of whether it's horror related or anything. Games you've played, books you've read, anything that you've consumed, essentially. So, what have you consumed lately that you want to talk about?
I've seen a lot of shit movies this year, dude.
That's okay. We have too.
Have you seen?
I have seen Longlegs. I did not like it at all. I really was disappointed in it heavily.
This is why I'm waiting for streaming.
I'll tell you this.
Heard about it, Jim.
My first words when my boyfriend and I left the theater were, he said, "What did you think?" And I said, "I think I just got punked by Nicolas Cage." I feel like that movie.
No spoilers.
When he was, I won't say anything to spoil it, except I'll say this. Remember when we all thought Nicolas Cage was batshit crazy, and we were all like putting him on pillows, and we're like, he's never gonna work again because he's buying weird pyramids to bury himself in, and like doing strange things, and like he's gone, but it's kind of fun to watch him like pull a Britney Spears, you know? And I think he took note of all of what we were saying during that time when we thought he was never coming back again. And he was like, "I'll get you one day." And Longlegs was his long con for how to get us all back. Was to hype us up and to make us think we were going to watch this really cool, scary movie. And then to come out and do what he did on screen.
So Erica.
Be like, fuck you for not believing it.
Erica, you mentioned about living in Louisiana and Nicolas Cage's pyramid tomb thing. Yes, I assume you've been there to see it?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. And also, he used to, I don't think he owns it anymore. In fact, I think it's up for sale now. But he used to own the LaLaurie Mansion, which is what a lot of what Dr. LaLaurie did was what I based my film Mr. White on. I did like a male version of her, which I don't know if you know anything about her, but she basically was a doctor in the French Quarter of New Orleans who had a lot of slaves and was buying all these slaves. And she loved to do experiments on them in secret. She had like this upper level, and she would have these big extravagant parties. Yeah, Madame, LaLaurie Delphine. And she would have these extravagant parties, and like one night during a party, the house starts going up in flames, and she gets all of her guests out, and they're like, "But we got to get the slaves out." And she's like, "All your workers are in there." And she's like, "It's fine, it's fine. I think they'll figure it out. They got out." And people were like, "No, dude, you got a lot of people in, like, there's people in there." So they put the fire out, and they realize when they go up to the top level of her house, that she's got slaves like they were dead then, but they were like chained up. She had been like cutting their heads open and stirring their brains with a wooden spoon to see what it would do while they were alive, like to see how it would affect them, and like sewing their mouths shut and then doing things to them. And like, she was horrific. So they say it's like one of the most haunted places in New Orleans. Like they say everything's haunted in New Orleans. So, and I'm not sensitive to that kind of stuff, so I can't say whether it is or isn't. But if a place has a right to be haunted, it's right up there with, a lot of the really horrific places where tragedies occurred. And he lived there for a while.
So we went to Narlands a couple of years ago. And so we went to that cemetery with the Nicolas Cage thing. And
did you
see it? One of Jim's favorite directors is Lucio Fulci. And he shot
I love
scenes of The Beyond in that exact cemetery.
Do I look like a Fulci fan, Erica?
You do look like a Fulci fan.
He's the Fulci fan, not me.
You do look like a Fulci fan for the record.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Fulci movies.
I do look very erudite, correct, Jim?
Yes, Mark.
Thank you.
Yes, Mark. Yeah, it's
Whatever.
a cool town. It was a really fun place to like shoot movies and stuff in.
What is it about celebrities and weirdness? Like Trent Reznor in his heyday rented the Sharon Tate murder house and took all the doors when he moved out.
Right?
Like why?
Because when you're rich, you do like stupid shit.
Yeah,
why?
you can do whatever.
I mean, like, why did Michael Jackson buy the elephant John Merrick's remains?
Because they're like, I've got all this money. I'm fucking bored. Let's just come up with something. Let's go rent this house out and just take the door. Sure, why not?
I don't know if he still has it, but Crispin Glover had antique gynecological equipment and like stirrups and like the old speculums, and he had a wax eyeball collection and stuff like that.
Let's be honest. Who didn't expect Crispin Glover to be weird?
I mean, yeah.
I love him as an actor.
You love Crispin Glover.
No,
right, because he's just weird. Yeah, he's a great actor, but like he's just everybody expected him to be weird.
Answer, Jim.
Yeah, nobody cares, Mark. We know. We've all seen it. We've all seen Friday the 13th. We know.
What's that about, Jim? Never heard of
it. Whatever, Mark.
Okay.
Anyway.
Eric, what else have you watched? Red Blade.
Watch a lot of like theatrical films. I've seen Maxine. I just saw Twisters.
How was it? Was it any good?
It was what you thought it was gonna be. It was my official review of it is, if you ask someone from another country to make a movie, to say, like, make a disaster movie about what you think America's like, and I think that that's what you would come up with. It's just a lot of, it's the Big Mac of small disaster movies. It's a very strange, sappy combination, but it was fun, and it was, honestly, I felt like it did the first one proud, because it's like the first one on steroids.
Okay, that's fair. Like, and that was what I was going to ask, was did it capture the same charm that the first one had?
I think so. I personally think so. Yeah, I think
that's fair.
It's not. It's like, when you think about it, it's like during the movie, I was like, wow, this is like small stakes. It's like, this is like, okay, yeah, it's a disaster movie, but it's like, this is affecting like a small strip of like Oklahoma. And like, okay, let's say you figure out a way to stop tornadoes forever. That's kind of hardly the least of our worries in this world right now. Like, I want a global warming movie. I want another Don't Look Up or something like that is like really gonna mess with my head. I don't know. It was just, it felt like, even though it was such a big scale, high budget disaster movie, you're like, but really, who is it affecting? Those people could kind of just not live in that stretch of land. And you know,
and so I'll sing the praises of Godzilla -1 again. $15 million.
It was great.
$15 million,
which is small potatoes in the film industry.
Not, like that's like
almost low budget.
Pay probably for Long Life.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, Twisters was fun. I think the best horror movie I've seen at the theaters this year was The First Omen. I thought that one was surprisingly good. I really enjoyed that one.
I thought it was a decent movie, but I'm not a big Omen fan, so it wasn't very, like, I appreciated the Easter eggs and the throwbacks, but it was an okay movie.
I have a story about The First Omen.
Oh God, here we go again.
Jim, then just close your ears as usual. Okay, so
go home, Jim.
Not Jim. Fuck. Okay, so like, you know, The First Omen, you know, started having trailers and whatever, and I'm like, this is probably going to be some sort of bullshit, right? Just another remake or prequel, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, but then I started hearing, like, good things about it. And I was talking to my wife. I'm like, oh, she was interested in it, so we'll go to the movie theater and watch it.
Yeah.
So we go to the movie theater. We book the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow they've closed that screen. And we're like, what? Why? Like,
yeah,
there's this closed. Okay. So we're like, okay, what else is in the movies right now? So it was.
Oh, they wouldn't even let you see it on a different screen.
They wouldn't let us see it. So we're like, okay, well, we're here now. So Late Night with the Devil was on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So we're literally 20 minutes into that movie, and the fire alarm goes off.
Oh, no, like the real one. Oh no!
So, I don't know if that is considered a cursed movie now, Jim.
Mark, do you want to tell her about the first time you were offered to see Late Night with the Devil?
No.
So, Erica,
I
have my TikTok. I have the TikTok channel for the podcast, right?
Right.
And on there, I do book and movie reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And my first screener that was ever offered to me after, so the first screener was Mrs. Jekyll with Eddie Izzard.
Oh yeah,
which was fantastic. I loved that movie. I think it was great.
Great movie.
But the next movie that I got offered was Late Night with the Devil. So like I was floored, right? Because somebody said, "Here, have early access to see this movie," and it was my most anticipated movie at that point.
That's amazing.
Right. Guess what fucker didn't watch the free movie that we were offered?
Jim, do you realize that, other people are adults and they have things that they have to do, and sometimes
Who had 2 months to watch a free movie, Mark?
They don't have the time to get around to certain things.
In 2 months. So Mark has never watched a screener that we've been offered. Not one.
Oh, Mark. Come on, man.
I do just annoy Jim.
Not a single one.
Jim will send it and I'll just be like, delete.
I'll watch pretty much. With you, Jim.
Hey, Erica, I am down. I am here for that. We are good to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mark, continue your story.
No, that was it.
You know what, Mark? I'll make time for him. I'll make time for what's important.
That's right. That's right. She'll make time for me, Mark.
Well, that's because you like him.
It's because I like movies.
Yeah. Oh, see, it's not even about me. It's about the movie.
I mean, yeah, totally. It's about you.
Totally.
So we could have a discussion about liking movies, Jim, right?
Sure.
Jim, in your top 10 horror movies...
Fuck me. Here we go.
What is your lowest rated movie in your top 10?
Probably Event Horizon.
And what would you rate that?
6 out of 10.
So there's, of all the movies you've ever seen in your life, all the horror movies, there's not one that's like even a 7 out of 10 that would knock it out.
Oh.
No. So
I think all mine would be like
10.
Well,
10,
9,
I'll
10
explain,
stars.
I'll explain this whole rigmarole in a minute, Eric. I promise.
Okay.
Jim's just an ass.
So, Event Horizon, when it came out, was a 10 out of 10 for me.
No, it's a 6.
I absolutely think it's a fantastic movie. I love it. However, I rate movies in real time, and the CGI in that film does not hold up.
You do not rate movies in real time.
I most certainly fucking do, my friend.
Okay, so what are your favorite movies from your childhood growing up, and how do you rate them in real time right now? What's the difference?
So Mr. Boogedy was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid.
And what would
that
you?
Movie is objectively a 4 at best.
No. What would you have rated it then as young Jim?
That would have been a 9 out of 10.
So how would you rate it now?
A 4 at best. But I still love the movie.
Oh man,
it's a ridiculous. Have you seen Mr. Boogedy? Right. Have you seen Mr. Boogedy?
No, I haven't seen that one.
So Erica, I know. Wait, hang on, Mark. You brought this up. Hang on. So back in the day, I know you're younger than us, and that's okay. But back in the day, right? So back in the day, there was
that's okay.
You.
Jim, there is people younger than us. She's
not going to get the nostalgia part of this, right? So that's why I said I know she's younger than us, and it's okay.
Who's not going to get nostalgia?
Mark,
just because somebody's younger.
Let me Kanye. Let me finish my story. Listen, Kanye. Let me finish my story, right? So anyway.
Okay, Don Jr.
When you when you were a kid,
Jew, I'm very afraid right now.
when you were a kid in the 80s, right? Like I was when I was 8-10 years old. You had Friday, the start of the weekend was signaled on Friday when school got over, when the bell rang. The end of the weekend was signaled by The Wonderful World of Disney on TV.
Okay.
That was your Sunday night. And Disney made a horror comedy with Richard Major and not Bess Armstrong, I forget the actress's name, Mimi something, called Mr. Boogedy, about a family who owns a joke shop in Massachusetts, but their house is haunted.
Oh, I think
and
maybe
David
I have
Faustino
seen...
and Christy Swanson are the children in this movie, right? So objectively, it's a shit movie. But as a child watching that movie, I had so much fun.
So, Jim, Mr. Boogedy,
Yes.
where would you rank it in your like overall top whatever 100 movies? Where would it lie?
If we're going to 100, it's going to be somewhere solid in the middle of the pack, like a 50.
A 4 out of 10. A 4 out of 10.
Yep, absolutely. Objectively, it's a 4 out of 10.
So, Erica,
another one of my favorite movies.
I hope Jim does not review any of your books.
She's already seen my reviews of her books. She's already seen them. There's video evidence of me enjoying her books.
Yeah, but wait till he does like a 10-year later and he's like, write the shit.
That will not happen, I assure you.
It does not hold up well.
Well, yeah.
Just don't mess up the sequel.
See, I'm the opposite of you. I'm like, whatever it is when I watch it, that's like what it's locked in as.
Yeah,
like we just got the 4K of Dragonheart, and my boyfriend had not. I don't know if he hadn't seen it ever or he hadn't seen it since he was a kid. And watching that with the terrible CGI, I was crying all over again. I was like, it was like my childhood magic all over again, despite the fact that that CGI was atrocious by today's standards. I would still put that as like.
Do you want?
I would still rate it the same.
Do you want a good crying movie?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to just cry, like it's a straight drama.
I love to cry.
Look up It's My Party.
It's My Party
with Eric Roberts and Olivia Newton-John.
If I want to, Jim.
Yeah. I will say my mother walked in on me watching that movie and said, "What is wrong with your face? Like, why are you crying like that?" Like, I was ugly crying.
And pull your pants up.
Shut up.
There's a movie, since we're on the subject, there's one I don't cry very often.
Yeah.
I locked myself in the bathroom for 5 minutes and would not come out because I did not want anyone to see how hard I was crying at the ending of this movie. It's a Ewan McGregor movie called Perfect Sense. If you, I don't know if you've seen it. It feels so underrated because it came out and it just got like no press really. And like I showed it to my boyfriend during the pandemic and we were bawling like we had just watched Schindler's List. Like the ending is so beautifully sad. It's like but equal parts beautiful and sad. And it's one of the best like disaster apocalypse movie I've ever seen in my entire life, and like that I cannot recommend it.
That's exactly what happened with me with It's My Party, right? Like it's a sad movie and you get the feels and everything, but there's one scene where I just went, "Oh my god!" Oh, it was awful. It was awful. It was so ugly.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels so good to have an ugly
doesn't
cry
hold
like
up
that.
2 out of 10.
It does hold up, Mark. It does.
Even though sad no matter what.
Exactly.
Mark.
Sad is sad.
Oh, look, he's crying now. Oh, Jim.
Okay, so Mark,
what about you, Mark? What's the saddest movie you've ever seen?
The Fly 2.
Ooh. Eric Stoltz, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because there's a dog in it, and it's very sad.
Oh.
He's being facetious now.
I'm not. That really.
You are too.
No, I refuse to watch that movie because it made me like really sad.
But yeah, you watched Cannibal Holocaust where they really did torture and kill animals.
Right, but no, I only watched the version that cuts that out.
Oh, really? I didn't even know there was a version like that.
Yep.
He makes me sick to watch Cannibal. It makes me physically ill, and I love.
If you look up the Grindhouse releasing of it,
yeah,
it has the option to cut out the animal Quilty.
Oh, I think I even have that version.
Hmm?
I did not realize.
Of course,
that.
Grindhouse releasing Sylvester Stallone's son had a big part of that, and he he died like a number of years ago, unfortunately. But yeah,
Mark, I wasn't aware that you record in your living room.
Well, no, because when the cat's away, the mice can play, Jim.
Yes, his wife's on vacation.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know if you would call it vacation, but
no, she wouldn't. No. But anyway, I meant to ask you, Erica, were you aware that Obsidian is streaming on Tubi?
I was. Yeah, that's
that'll be on my TV this weekend then.
Sweet. It's very low budget, but I worked very hard on it. It almost broke me as a human being.
Story means the world to me, and since I know it's related to Vanity Kills, which I enjoyed, we're good.
Yes. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Also, there's some cool stuff in there, so
I can't wait. Mark, what have you watched this week?
Mr. White's also good.
So I watched Jim, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's not Long Legs.
No, it's this one.
It's Apocalypse Love.
Yeah. We had Vera Vanguard, the director, writer, and one of the stars of this movie on last week.
And
cool.
I actually reached out to her to give her my opinion.
And what did you tell her?
So, I mean, my opening blurb was like, I give it to people straight. I don't sugarcoat stuff. I don't care if you're a guest or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to be totally honest about if I liked it, didn't like it, whatever. Because it's all subjective anyway. Yeah. I absolutely love this. I told
Wasn't
her.
It fun?
So Erica, basically it's like puppets. I don't know if you've seen it. But you can see the hands on the puppets.
Oh.
And it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse like puppet.
And let's be frank, right? It's not really puppets, it's floppy dolls.
Right. It's just somebody holding a doll and moving it around.
Okay.
Right? But the dolls get carjacked. They carry machine guns. Like, it's absurd.
So
I love it.
So the thing is, what I said to her was, I could see how easily this could turn out shit. Right? Just that concept and just how it's done. But I said the acting, the cinematography, the movie, the Foley work is all on point.
The timing is impeccable.
Wow.
Oh, it's so good. And I said, like, it's a like the choice to keep the hands in the frame is perfect.
Yep.
It works so well. It just kind of brings everything to life. My only downside was because it's me. I would have liked it to be a little darker in tone or a little bit more disturbing. But, Vera wrote back and said, she's thinking about next time there's going to be more anal in it. So, Jim, I don't know if you know anything about that, but so
a thing or two maybe.
No, I really, really enjoyed it, and I told her whenever we talked about it on the podcast before, like, I think this is so built into like an Adult Swim series.
Yep,
I could totally see that.
Yep.
So,
Erica, for you, it's only streaming on a service called Momitu, which is free. It's like a Tubi type service. It's ad supported, but this is probably one of my favorite movies of the year because it's just so absurd, and I love absurdist movies.
Oh,
there's zombies, there's aliens, there's doomsday preppers.
It almost sounds like that Peter Jackson Muppet movie.
Meet the Feebles. I still haven't seen that one yet. I need to.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's as fun as that, but it's more PG.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's so endearing, but so weird. Like there's a scene where one of the characters, he's like, "You sent me all the way across town for a plastic cauldron." And she's like, "Well, you weren't supposed to come back." I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so fun.
I mean, I was it's not like I had low expectations, but just
yeah,
I can see how that would go really badly if handled,
right.
In a worse way. You can tell there's a lot of love in that, and I really really dug like the main actor's voice.
Yep.
And apparently it's like more of a bigger name actor, but they couldn't say that for like SAG stuff or something. But Jim, she wanted me to leave a review on Instagram. Now, I'm not on Instagram, so I said you would clip this and send it to her.
Okay, yeah, I absolutely will. I will, for sure. Because I did a review video for her and sent it to her.
So the only other thing, so I've been still playing some Sniper Elite 5, which is good, but it's actually pretty difficult compared to the other ones. And I'm almost caught up. I've got like 20 minutes left of the last episode of The Boys.
I'm so far behind on The Boys.
And The Boys has just gone full fuck MAGA. It's hilarious. It's so funny. It's so funny.
I gotta keep watching
I hate Firecracker. I absolutely hate her. And The Boys is perfect at writing female villains. Like Anya Patch's character, Stormfront, fucking I hated her guts and I loved her for it.
You know who they based Firecracker on, right?
No.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Really?
Yep.
Absolutely. I could see that. I always saw her as more of a Bobert though.
No. And she even, like, you probably haven't got there, but she talks about, like, space lasers and stuff.
I have not heard that yet, no.
Like, Jewish space lasers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, The Boys is just all-around excellent.
It's so good.
It really is. Show. But, so there's a little bit of controversy around The Boys. Have you heard?
What?
Apparently, Anthony Starr is really horrible to be around. Like, he's super abusive to his assistants.
So
that's Homelander? Or?
Yeah.
So the only thing I've heard was that he got in like some sort of like fight in a bar a while ago or something.
No, like one of the assistants or one of the workers on the show is actually suing him for his abusive behavior.
Oh wow.
Ray told me about it today and I looked it up and there's several claims that he's super abusive on set.
They're also somebody suing, who is it that they said she kicked him in the head?
Mia Goth.
Mia Goth.
Oh,
yes. One of the actors from on the set of Maxine is suing her.
Wow.
And it's not even so much that she kicked him in the head; it's that she walked up to him after and said, "Nobody's going to fucking believe you."
And we could have a whole conversation about separating the art from the artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's the tricky part about like with all this cancel culture and stuff lately too, is like it seems like there's really not much separation anymore, which there used to be. Like Michael, people who are canceling people now still listen to Michael and stuff.
I mean,
like Chevy Chase, right? He was beloved for decades,
super abusive,
and apparently he's a horrible human being.
So I think it's situational, right? And I think like this cancel culture umbrella is like misleading, right? Because you can have somebody who like James Gunn, who years and years ago said some maybe like sexist thing on Twitter, later apologized. It's fine, it wasn't a big deal, but obviously everyone's like, oh. Then you could get like somebody like Victor Salva, pedophile,
piece of garbage.
Who's still working and nobody seems to care. You got Roman Polanski winning
the
Oscars
director.
So I think individually it's our own decision, like whether
look at Kevin Spacey, he's been wrecked.
Yeah.
Well,
and rightly so, right? Because based on the stuff that I've heard, rightly so, he's been wrecked. But
it
Victor
took them
Salva's
so
still going.
long to do that. Like, I knew people who were working with him 12 years ago that were like, he's a freaking pervert, dude.
Yep.
I hate that guy. I won't work on anything with him. And like, it's only just recently like come out. Like everybody was like, we've been telling you for years.
Right. And it sort of blew up when Star Trek Discovery got big, right? Because Anthony Rapp is it who I don't remember the gentleman's name, is the first one to come forward to accuse him of being inappropriate when he was underage. I mean, he's obviously in his late 40s now, but he refers back to when he was 16 or 17 years old.
Here's what I always think, right? So Jaws is one of my favorite movies ever, probably my second favorite.
I love Jaws.
So what if something comes out with legitimate claims that Spielberg was diddling some kid on the set?
Yeah.
How would that affect my love of that movie?
It wouldn't.
It might.
Would it?
I just don't know. That's what I mean. I mean, it's a thought experiment, but
here's the way I think of it, right?
Honestly, whenever there's somebody that I like comes out with some bullshit, it does taint me a little bit about their work.
It taints me going forward. It doesn't really affect me in the past.
Well, it's because you live in nostalgia, Jim.
I know. I still appreciate the work from the past, but I will not support them going forward.
See, and I'm almost of a different mindset where I just divorce the actor or the person from the art to where it's like I can hate the person but feel totally like I can think Kevin Spacey is a piece of crap and still go watch K-Pax without blinking because I've worked with a lot of terrible actors too where like they are a horrible person in real life and then on screen people love them, and like when I watch them on screen I don't even knowing this person and having like beef with them, I don't look at them and be like, oh, I think there's probably one actress that I work with that I'm like, you're like, every time she comes on screen on Licorice Pizza, I'm like, I can't, I gotta look away because I'm about to freaking, you know. And
well, I have an actress like that too, but I haven't worked with her.
No, Jim, you got lots of people you don't like.
There are two actresses that I can't watch on screen.
So I think it's also like, if it's a director, you can almost put it to the back of your mind. If it's an actor, because they're right there,
right?
It's the same as like somebody in a band that you like can totally change.
It's like if they're the drum.
Like I wouldn't know what Victor Salva looks like to save my life. So
he looks exactly like you, Jim.
That's entirely possible. I'm a horrible human being. I'm a horrible human being, so I get it.
Jim Salva.
Anyway, Mark.
Yes.
So I know you're a big documentary fan, and I watched a new documentary yesterday.
What did you watch?
It's called Tickled.
I've seen it.
Oh, Tickled is good. Yeah,
it is about the competitive world of tickling. Who knew it was so really dark and seedy?
Air guitar.
I did the minute they told me the premise. Like, hello, how could you be this stupid?
Jim, I'm
not going to lie to you. Everybody that got wrecked from this fuckhead that was running this tickling porn thing, they deserved that shit, because how could you not know what the fuck was going on in that setup?
Well, you know, there's certain
you were bought and paid for it, and you knew it.
Okay. So, Jim,
everything that happens after that is your fault.
Jim, how many people have you tickled in your life?
As an adult?
No, just in your life.
He's just said 6.
I mean, like as a kid, it happens all the time. As an adult, nobody, because I don't want anybody touching me like that.
So how many people have tickled you?
That are not my family? 0.
No. I didn't say not your family. I'm just asking a number.
But you know what we didn't do, Mark? You know what we didn't do when we got tickled? We didn't videotape it.
Oh.
We didn't agree to get paid $1,000 to be tied down and let somebody tickle us.
Would you?
I mean, although let me just say, some of those guys, I probably would have agreed to it. But
right,
you know,
right, you probably would have paid them $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, they were hot, so I get the draw to pay them
so your outrage is kind of tickled. Sorry, Jim, but your outrage is kind of undercut by your, wanting to be in that situation.
There's no outrage. Like I 100%.
So you think it was fun?
I 100% watched that movie because of the guy on the cover art. 100%.
That's sexist.
Like I was like, that guy's hot. What is this about?
Jim, you know,
Sex
like
sells, man.
guys are more than just a piece of meat, right?
Yeah.
But what if they had a terrible personality?
Who cares?
What does that mean?
I'm looking at him with his shirt off. What do I care about his personality?
Can you talk to Jim about not making just people like pieces of meat?
It's objectification, Mark.
I
Is
am
the word
not
you're
the
looking
person
for.
for that because
Thank you.
I'm
Mark,
not the person.
Are you
for that.
telling me you don't objectify baby metal?
I
you listen to them
objectify
because
men
of their...
and women.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you very much. I objectify men and women
Thank you.
equally, and
Right.
I am really actually very.
I object.
I'm going to get canceled one day from it.
I'm generally not that bad, but that guy on the cover of Tickled was hot. And then you get to see him getting tickled, which does nothing for me, but he's still hot, and he's doing it willingly.
So it's almost like you're saying too much. So that did nothing for you, Jim. Is that what you're saying?
The tickling did nothing for me. Yeah.
This guy.
Hang
on. So this guy that was so hot that you didn't care about what was going on in the documentary. You were sold on that. So you watching him tied to a bed being tickled did nothing for you.
He wasn't tied to a bed. He was in a chair.
Oh, okay. So he was in a chair and getting tickled. That did nothing for you.
No, it did nothing for me. No.
So
he was just pretty to look at.
So you turned it off.
I watched the whole thing. Because it was interesting to see what this deranged psychopath did to these boys.
Oh, boys! Hang on, boys.
A couple of them were underage. Yes.
So, okay, we're getting the Jim Salvo.
No, but what I'm saying is.
So tell me more about this movie that you like the boys in, Jim.
So
the boys getting.
Mark is going to get me canceled by making shit up.
I'm just repeating the words that you're saying, Jim.
You are, but you're taking everything out of context, Mark.
No, I'm not. I'm just repeating what you're saying.
No, you're not.
Whoa. You said there was boys in this documentary that were getting tickled, and you really wanted to watch this because. No.
I said there was a hot man on the cover, which is why I wanted to watch it and figure out what it was about.
But then you found the boys.
No, I said that there were some underage boys that were also victimized.
Hang on. You said that the guy in the cover didn't do anything for you, but you still
seeing him getting tickled. No. I said seeing him getting tickled did nothing for me.
I apologize for having you on this podcast with Mr. Salva here. It's very disturbing.
I'm loving it. It's one of the best podcasts I've ever been on.
You're disgusting, Mark. You're a disgusting human being. But anyway, now let's move on from Tickled. Right. Let's move on from Tickled. I also listened to an audiobook that was fucking amazing.
Which one?
It's called Womb City.
Okay.
So it is I don't know about dystopian, but it's a futuristic society in Botswana where you can pay to body hop, essentially have your consciousness downloaded into a new body.
Oh, cool.
But if you commit a single crime, you lose the rights to your body. You are immediately jailed and your body is repossessed and given to somebody else. I'll be honest, it started off really slow. It's like 16 hours, the audiobook, and it was super slow, and I wasn't impressed because I couldn't relate to it because a lot of the first part of this book is about the female experience, and I can't really relate to that, right? Yeah. But
neither can I, and I'm a female.
Right. What, Mark?
Do you wish it was a boy's experience?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, I'm just checking.
I think for what it was perfect. It was perfect for the setup and stuff because it ultimately, the main character is a female, so it's about the female experience. But as the book goes on, I can relate more and more to her experiences in the book. I can't relate to her oppression and that kind of stuff, which is what it focused on for the first part of the book, like her feeling oppressed by the patriarchy in that area of the world. So, I couldn't relate to that.
So you lack empathy?
No, I lack situational awareness because I've not been in that situation because I'm not a female.
Clip that
in Botswana.
Can we just clip that? And I think that should be in our Facebook group. Jim lacks situational awareness.
I like situational
100%.
Yeah, for that book, I absolutely do. But anyway, so it starts to become a ghost story, and then it becomes a ghost revenge story, and then it becomes a supernatural oh my god, chess game, right? So it turns out that in order to have women are tracked by a microchip, which inhibits their criminal characteristics. Only women.
Okay.
Generally, some men do have it, but it's mostly just women, right? But then it turns out that in order to get the microchip removed from your body, which is an option that nobody knew about, the government puts you through a murder trial, which means they facilitate you killing somebody, whether you want to or not, and then you are judged based on how you react to the situation. But what they don't tell you is that situation unleashes a ghost's revenge on your family. And you have to stop the ghost or die, essentially. Either the ghost wins and gets your body, or you win and the ghost goes away.
So it's a Gladiator meets Ghostbusters.
Kind of. But, I mean, there's obviously a lot more involved, but it turned out to be really fantastic in the end. I really loved this book.
Really?
Yeah, there's so many twists and turns that I really wound up loving the story.
Something's like, really?
I don't know. You lost me at the ghost part. I was really buying into it, and then you're like, and then it released a ghost, and
no, you really. I'm telling you, Erica, give it a shot.
I smelled a fart just then. I was like,
give it a shot because the storyline is so involved that you will buy into the ghost thing. I promise.
Jim,
it will not detract from it for you.
Jim, I was most confused in your description about. Okay, there was ghosts. And then supernatural stuff happening.
No. A supernatural chess game is what I said, Mark.
You said then supernatural things happen. As if they're two different realms. So, Jim, are ghosts natural or supernatural?
Ghosts are natural, by the way.
They're natural? How?
Yeah, I think they're a naturally occurring force.
How?
What else happens to your spirit after you die?
Can you prove there's a spirit, Jim?
Can you prove there's not?
You can't prove a negative.
Why is it a negative? If I say they exist, why is that a negative?
Jim, can you prove that I don't have $8 billion right here, right now?
No.
Okay, so I do.
Okay, if you say so.
This, Jim.
You believe you do, clearly.
Jim, this is how people get conned. They're like, okay, so Jim, I'm a Nigerian prince.
No, Botswana. We're talking about Botswana.
$88 billion, and I will give you a portion of it if you just send me all your bank details.
I'm glad that you have that much money, but I don't in any way, shape, or form believe you're going to send me any of it.
So you're a skeptic about that, Jim?
I'm skeptical that you're going to give me your wealth for nothing. Yes.
What are you basing your skepticism on?
My general life experience that people don't help.
Your general life experience
is that people do not do that.
How many ghosts have you seen, Jim?
Seen none, heard or experienced many.
So with your general life experience, what is your summation if ghosts exist or not?
I believe they do.
Why?
Because of my life experience, Mark. To me, they're real.
Erica, I apologize. It's just mind fucking numbing. Anyway, Jim, what else have you watched?
What else have I seen this week besides Tickled? Actually, that's the only thing I think I've sat down to watch. Besides, did I talk about Real last week, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's really it. I plan on watching Real 2 tomorrow.
That's really it, Jim?
So, yeah, that's really
it.
So, Erica, I'm sorry we argue like two grumpy old men. But
Jim, I have one last.
I love it.
I have one last cast for you. So there's a dice here, right? How many dice are in there?
It looks like just one.
One. Yeah, it looks like one. From my experience, my life experience.
Oh, look, he's got. Yeah, you have. I can see I can see the hidden compartment from the lid, Mark.
Oh my God.
You clearly are not a magician.
I do love a good magician.
Do you see
I
this?
do too.
Do you see this rope, Jim?
Is that a rope or a cock ring?
Mark.
Mark, everything gets stiff when you play with it.
What
You should have
is
learned that as a boy.
Raven telling you, Jim?
What?
Nothing.
That has been my natural life experience as well.
See,
That
we can relate to that.
true. It is true.
But you know what doesn't get hard as you play with it?
Your penis?
If you were in the room, that'd be true. Yes. But
Well,
when you get it hot and wet, it melts. It becomes floppy.
your penis?
Nice. I just said spaghetti. Do you guys not listen to me?
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it say spaghetti.
Spaghetti. You get it hot and wet, and it goes limp. Why? That's weird, right?
That's always my favorite, lesbian. That's always my favorite pickup line to the girls, where they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm straight." I'm like, "Yeah, so it's spaghetti
until you get it hot." Yeah. It works on women. It doesn't work on men, though.
Jim
It does actually work on women. If you're a woman.
Jim, what's your pickup line for boys?
I don't have one because I am terrible at flirting.
Erica, over to you.
I am so socially awkward. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's hard for you to talk to boys. I get it.
I don't know.
Especially with that restraining order.
I never had a problem talking to you, though, Mark. Why?
Because I'm not a boy, Jim.
Oh, I don't like boys.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
never dated. I've never dated it.
Okay.
I
don't like boys, by the way. Forget about anything else I said.
No, funny story. I've never dated anybody less than 10 years older than me. Never.
Really?
Except my ex-wife. Yeah.
So hang on. Whenever you were 5, you were dating a 15-year-old? What sort of sicko are you?
Who dates at 5 years old, you pig?
I don't know. You just said that.
I didn't date at 5.
Well, you didn't make that clear. What was it, 6?
Didn't say that, Jim.
I know. I'm sorry for not quantifying that when I was in my single-digit years, I didn't date.
I would say spit it out, but
Close,
that maybe means something different. So,
as my mother said, Mark, a true lady never spits.
Oh,
your mother told you that?
Yes.
So my mom told me too.
So I can picture it now. Jim and his mom watching The Entity, just patting on the head, turns around. Jimmy.
No.
A real woman never spits. Wink.
No.
No.
I will tell you. I will give you the real situation. I'll give you the real situation where it happened. I'll give you the real situation where it happened, but it doesn't make it any better.
Okay, good.
So when I first came out,
just before you said, Jim, and I'm looking forward to it. Can I just say there is no situation where a mother turns around to her son and says that. But go ahead, Jim. Thank you.
So when I was 24 and I left my ex-wife and I came out of the closet, a TV show had just premiered in the United States on Showtime. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Queer as Folk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my mother and I sat down to watch the movie because she wanted to be supportive, right? She sat down to watch the first episode with me. And there's a scene about rimming in there. Mark, do you know what rimming is?
Jim, I am not in that sort of weird world that you are. But,
So
I can imagine.
The scene comes on the screen, and it's quite
So
detailed.
wait. Can I just, sorry to stop you again, Jim. So you're sitting there with your mom, and they're talking about rimming.
No, they're performing the act, Mark. They're not talking about
performing the actual act on TV.
Yes.
Is that not illegal? Like, how can they show that on TV?
I mean, it's clearly,
I've shot a rimming scene before
right.
on a TV
it's
show.
clearly simulated, and there's camera angles where you don't see
So you're sitting
the
there
actual...
with your mom,
Yes.
Watching a
And I'm turning
ringing scene, and she turns to you and says,
No. Let me finish my story. Don't embellish.
Sorry.
I'm turning 50 Shades of Red, right? And she looks at me and she goes, "What's wrong? Why you look so embarrassed?" I said, "Because I feel like I'm watching porn with my mother." And we start laughing, and the scene is over. And there's a.
Sorry, did you reflect back when you were 8 watching Barbara Hershey nude getting raped by a ghost?
No, Mark, because you're the only one that ever brings that up. I don't.
Well, I mean, I'm not your therapist technically, but I sort of am. Okay,
so
go
anyway,
ahead.
There's another scene.
What happens next?
There's another scene in the show where they talk about swallowing, right? And
what does that mean?
I turn. When somebody ejaculates in your mouth and you just drink it.
That doesn't sound healthy.
There's actually protein involved, so it is kind of healthy.
11 grams traditionally,
right?
So you're sitting. Okay, for the audience, let me just set this up. Jim,
God damn it,
recently divorced from a woman that he lied to about being gay. Yeah, sitting there with his mom
for 8 years. By the way, let's really lay it on thick.
Well, hang on. And they're watching a show with simulated rimming and talking about ejaculation into a mouth. Have I got that correct so far?
They were talking about that on TV. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Go ahead.
Then, when they talked about it, I looked at my mother and I said, "Do you spit or swallow?"
Hang on, you said it to your mom?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I did not see this.
And she said, "A true woman never spits."
What a 90-degree turn that just took.
Help me.
That just took like a hard left turn. I wasn't expecting that either. My jaw dropped.
I mean, I had no shame in my 20s.
Springer show.
I had no shame in my 20s. I would ask anybody anything.
I talked to my mom like that too, but I just wasn't expecting your story to go like that.
I thought maybe she would make some sort of offhand remark about it.
Yeah,
not you would instigate
you were the one that was like 50 Shades of Red, so I thought you were like recoiling.
But I mean, once the scene was over, it was fine.
Jim, how often have you thought about whether she does one or the other?
None. It was a question in the moment because it was relevant.
So you lack situational awareness, correct?
No, I was very aware in that situation.
Oh, okay, so you were aware of it.
See, I never had to ask my mom that because she was like way too open with us. But I did ask her, "Why didn't you swallow with me?" Because I would have rathered that.
Well, I get that. I get that context. I just don't get Jim's context.
What, like there's actually a conversation about it happening, so I turn to somebody that's sitting next to me and ask?
No. So what was happening on screen? It was rimming, right?
No. The rimming had already been done.
Oh, that was already done.
That was already done. And the characters on screen were talking about whether they would spit or swallow. And my mother and I had this thing where we would try and shock each other, but neither one of us gets shocked, so we just go with it.
Well, I mean, once she's raised you to watch ghost rape when you're young, it's going to be hard to shock you. I'm just saying.
You make it sound like it was a fetish film, and she had me strapped into a chair with my eyes pried open.
Yeah, like Clockwork Orange.
It's like or Robot Chicken,
Yeah.
That's Clockwork Orange, Jim. But I mean,
Robot Chicken, Mark. That's I've never seen Clockwork Orange.
What? First of all, get off this podcast and go watch Clockwork Orange. It's so good. It's such a classic.
I believe it, and there's no reason I haven't watched it. It just never winds up on my
Highly
TV.
Recommend.
So
I wouldn't have the poster of it.
I think we have to come to the end of the podcast soon.
Was that a sperm joke, Mark?
On the bombshell that apparently Jim's mom does not spit. Jim?
Oh,
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Well,
we don't know if she's a lady or not. She said a lady doesn't spit.
Right, exactly.
But we don't know if she's a lady or not.
No, my mother's not a lady. She's a truck driver. Both my mother and my sister drove long haul trucks. Yes, 18-wheelers.
That's dope. That's a tough job.
Yeah.
Is that to get away from you, Jim?
Probably. I'd want to get away with me. Away from me.
Cross country.
I try to get away from me and I can't, and it drives me insane.
As soon as Jim goes, do you spit or swallow? She's like, I'm going to drive across
deliver some
country.
groceries. Be back after I hit Alaska.
It's another wonderful time delving into your sordid history.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And I hope, I'm
Erica,
feeling it.
I have enjoyed the hell out of this conversation, so thank you.
Me too.
This has been a blast.
I would do this again in a heartbeat. This is
You're
awesome.
coming back. There's no if.
I would love it.
Everybody
I love it.
come
Anytime
back
you guys want me.
to hear more about Jim's childhood.
No,
I
David
love
Slater's
it.
coming back, and we
Honestly,
haven't
makes you
talked
feel-
about my childhood.
Oh, well, we will.
No,
Makes me feel less weird about mine, so
Right?
that's good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody's weird.
I mean, no matter how, bad your
Mark
childhood
hung out in a graveyard for
You
his
can
entire
just-
childhood.
You can just listen to Jim's childhood and be like, wow.
I mean, I could tell you about the
Dog's
time I
knuckles.
beat my cousin with a dog chain.
Was that last week, Jim?
All right.
No. And I take
It
it
was
back. I
because he
didn't
didn't
beat
like
her.
being tickled.
Yeah, exactly. Don't fucking tickle me.
Beat his ass.
It was a she.
It was
Oh,
a
sorry.
she? Can I quote you on that?
It was a she.
You're getting canceled tonight.
It was a she. And that's how we got canceled, folks.
I know, right? I'm gonna wake up to so many comments in the Facebook group.
Oh, it's a good thing I'm in TikTok now.
When ghost rape is the least of your problems. on
Right, so
podcast.
Erica, he brings it up so much that I made a cup. It had the horror movies and shit logo on it, and at the
Yeah.
bottom it just said it's better than ghost rape.
So now you have to do a lady
I
or
want
not
that
question mark, a spit or swallow question mark.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, a big heart and mom.
I just want a tank top that says a lady never spits.
I can do that for you.
I would wear it.
I
I'll wear it.
have
I'll
a
wear it
heat
to
press
work
right
and
here.
I'll wear it.
I have
I'll wear
a
it.
heat press
I'll wear
right
it
here.
in public. I'll take pictures of myself wearing it in public proudly.
We can make that happen.
I'll wear. We got Scares That Care and TBRCon coming up. I'm just saying, I get a lot of eyes
Wait,
on
when
your
is Scares
work.
That Care?
Yeah, I'm going to
When
the
is
St. Louis. The St. Louis Scares That Care. I think that one of them's September, one was October.
I got
and
time.
I can't
We're
remember.
good. It's happening.
Yeah. And there's
It's hap-
TBRCon in Tennessee, which I'll be there
I don't know.
as well.
I don't
Jim,
know what that is.
Jim, I think this is a very healthy way for you to explore your childhood trauma.
Well, no, because I'm going to put a true woman never spits and then just put like 3 drops of something
Yes,
down
yes.
there.
I think it's good for you to talk about it, maybe print stuff on T-shirts about it. I mean, I think that's natural and good for you. Good for your
Do
mental
you want me to make your wife a coffee cup that says a true lady never spits?
I don't
She
think
does
that.
love. Your
I-
wife loves my coffee cups, Mark.
Sorry,
You know
Jim,
this.
I don't think that will be appropriate. Do you understand what appropriateness is?
I'm just going to ask your wife
He
if
has
she
no
wants one. I'm not
situational
even going to talk
awareness,
to you.
Mark.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
That is.
not talk- Mark got so pissed when his wife ordered coffee cups for me. So pissed. You
Jim-
want to tell her what you did, Mark?
Jim got
You
so.
want to tell her how you terrorized me?
Smashed him.
So
So
the
he's like,
first one showed up smashed.
I did not get pissed. I
No,
got
he
even.
didn't really. Yeah, he did. He did. He got me good with this one.
So the first mug that Jim sent arrived broken.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Very, very sad.
Yes.
So
I
Jim
was mortified.
Jim was super nice, and sent out another one for free.
Mm-hmm.
That one arrived perfectly fine. However, I got the
Elaborate.
pieces of the other one and took a photo and said, "The second one arrived broke too."
No, it was, are you kidding me?
Oh my
And
god!
me being the nice person that I am, I was mortified.
Like
I was heartbroken. I'm like, this poor lady has actually paid me for 2 coffee mugs, and this is the second one that's shown up smashed. What the fuck is the post office doing?
yeah,
But I mean,
I've literally
mind you,
seen him hook the packages over their shoulder at the floor.
I put little pieces of egg crate in there. I mean, I packed this shit really well. So I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I bought packing peanuts and everything.
Jim, you swallowed your pride right there.
I was a true lady. You're right.
Because a true lady never spits.
That's right. That's going to be our new motto, Mark.
Spit or swallow.
That should be the title of this episode. Is
a true lady never spits. I will do that. Don't test me.
I
love it. I think it's
actually
perfect for my personality.
It sounds like a giallo title.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
A true lady of the night never spits.
That's
on
right.
your grave.
On your grave.
Mark, I took that picture down and do not put it back up.
But I put another one up.
I saw and I took that down too.
You fucking piece of shit.
So, by the way, Erica, you don't know this, but Sunday marks the 2-year anniversary of the birth of this podcast.
Oh, congratulations, guys!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
we should have swallowed.
Oh my God!
2 years, that's awesome.
Tim is going to have so much fun with this episode. I cannot wait for the messages when he listens to it. Are you kidding me? What the hell? I can hear it now.
Remember, you and Tim slept together?
We did not sleep together.
Well, in the same room.
Yes, he slept on the floor in my hotel room at Spooky Empire because Mark and I got him extremely drunk. He could not go home.
What, was he a lady or was he not, Jim?
Oh my God.
Hi, Tim.
I'm gonna have to warn him about this episode or cut it out.
Don't cut it out, fucking fucker.
We've all been shit-faced at the Spooky Empire. It's cool.
He was
all
totally
woken up on someone's weird floor. Someone's weird floor?
Someone who is weird that has a floor.
One weird
floor. Some weirdo's floor.
Right, by the way.
Some weirdo's floor. Let's put it that way.
Floor weird. Someone there is one thing's floor.
I write novels. Can you believe this?
Me write good. Me no.
Me write good. Me write.
Me no
really
good English.
Good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I have to go.
Anyway, let me play the outro.
Thank you so much.
Erica, thank you so much. This has been a blast. However, before we leave, pop your socials because I need to order the Rictus Grin. I don't have that one yet, and I need it signed.
Awesome. Yeah. So you can find me on Facebook under Erica Summers. My Insta handle is at Kika Productions, which is my film production company. So KEEKA Productions. And I think I'm on TikTok as Kika Productions as well. But if you search Erica Summers, I should pop up. And I also co-own Rusty Ogre Publishing. So a lot of times, if you see the Rusty Ogre logo, it's like a ogre with like blood behind it. That's us. That's my sister and I. You can find any of our books as well on www.rustyogerpublishing.com.
Is that ogre ER or RE?
OGRE, yeah. Okay. Rusty RUSTY OGRE.
Jim, OGER isn't a word.
I know. But some of us in America can't spell, Mark. We did go to public school.
Yeah, at Scares the Care last time when they printed up my name tag, they spelled Rusty Orgy Publishing. So that was fun. That was fun walking around all weekend. I just kept telling them that the orgy was in my hotel room. So
I was going to say, did you keep? Please tell me you kept that name tag, please.
Oh yeah, I kept it. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
and everyone who commented on it, I was just like, I'm in 114. I'm at 114.
Jim, does a lady pop their socials?
Yes.
Or not?
I'm just... It's sort of like that. I mean, Two Live Crew says they pop their pussy, so I'm assuming socials are no big deal.
Oh, I don't know.
Right?
Maybe that. Wrong? I don't know. Maybe I'm very naive, Jim. Maybe it's a word for something. I don't know.
I'm just bad. I don't even know my socials. I'm just like, oh, find me.
Well, I mean, I did. I stalked you off Tim, so the other people can too.
I mean, I'm loud. I'm loud in person and I'm loud online too. So like, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm very active in like books of horror, all the splatterpunk groups and stuff like that. You'll see me chiming in, put my 2 cents in where nobody freaking asked. So That's who I am.
That's the joy of being online, right?
Yeah, it's
I can say whatever the fuck I want.
I won't like troll people. I don't pick fights or anything, but like I will. Like nobody has to ask my opinion. I will just give it.
We do have a giant troll here, by the way. Don't we, Mark?
Yeah?
Don't talk about your mom.
Don't we, Mark?
Don't talk about my mom like that.
Like Mark legitimately now my entire feed on Facebook is him tagging me and shit about long legs.
Well, you keep on saying I'm just trying to make you aware of it, Jim.
I'm so sick of hearing about that movie and he doesn't.
Mark? Have you seen it? Did you like it?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I want to.
I haven't seen it.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it. Jim apparently hasn't.
No.
I'm trying to educate him.
This stems from the fact that on a previous podcast I said I'm sick of hearing about it.
Oh. Okay.
You're never going to say that ever again, are you, Jim?
Yes, I am.
Is that what a lady would say?
Yeah, Mark, I'm so sick of hearing about Alien Romulus.
Apparently,
I'm so excited for Alien Romulus.
Apparently, the aliens have got very long legs.
Shut up, you dick. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna play the outro now.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Erica.
Yes,
this has been a blast. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys.
I'm now gonna hit the stop button. We'll just give it a minute or two to upload everything, and then we'll be good.